Chapter 213. The Qilin tiger wore a golden crown on its head and an emperor's robe on its body. It had 3 shape-shifting elites behind it. All of them looked invincible and arrogant. They looked down at Nangong Shun and the others with greed in their eyes. Devouring the bloodline of the imperial princes would make them stronger. This was the reason why humans and the other races had been at odds for so many eras. At first, there was no hatred, only profit. Now that hatred was added, the battle became even more brutal. Hundreds of thousands of beasts followed closely behind, and there were more than a dozen king bloodline elites. Humans were at an absolute disadvantage. These dozen king bloodline elites were enough to stall Lin Aoqiong and the others. Although Nangong Shun's cultivation level was high, he could only fight the Qilin tiger to a draw. With the addition of another shape-shifting elite, Nangong Shun would definitely lose. Lin Aoqiong and the others felt the aura of death. They had been in a tough battle for many days without any time to recover. Now that they were surrounded, it was almost impossible for them to turn the tables. Tens of thousands of human elites roared, unwilling to die. They glared at the beasts and the 4 shape-shifting elites, unwilling to surrender. Nangong Shun, lead them to be my slaves. For your sake, I will reluctantly accept them and spare their lives, the Qilin tiger said proudly, its eyes shining. Their cultivation levels were different. No matter how strong Lin Aoqiong and the others were, it was impossible for them to kill the emperors of the other races. The Qilin tiger did not care about Lin Aoqiong and the others. Killing them was just a matter of time. Lin Aoqiong and the others gripped their divine swords tightly, their blood boiling. I would rather die than surrender. At most, we will die together with them. That's right. I have never thought of leaving since I came for the test. Senior Nangong, lead us. The heroes roared and pointed their swords at the beasts. Ha ha, how stupid. I have played with you for so long. Can't you see? If I wanted to kill all of you, I would have killed all of you the day you came in. The Qilin tiger laughed mockingly and said disdainfully. This space has been controlled by the other races since 3 years ago. We were just waiting for your elites to come in and kill you to vent our anger. One of the transformed ferocious beasts stared coldly at the heroes and said to the Qilin tiger, Boss, let's do it. Why are you wasting your breath on them? The process is pleasing to the eye. I like the process. I like to see the fear and despair in their eyes. It's a pity that I didn't get to see them kneel and beg for mercy. The Qilin tiger shook its head in pity. Qilin tiger, fight me one-on-one. If you can defeat me, you can do whatever you want to me and tens of thousands of human elite. If you lose, take your ominous beasts and leave. Nangong Shun gritted his teeth. He knew that the human race would not be able to withstand this attack. Once Lin Aoqiong and the others were surrounded, they would die even if there were 3 to 5 king-level bloodline warriors attacking one of them. Hence, he decided to take a gamble. What qualifications do you have to negotiate with this emperor? Just based on the fact that you 3 princes have the royal bloodline? It's a pity that the 3 of you are a little weak. If you were all at the peak of the Immortal Gate, perhaps I wouldn't fight you head-on. But 3 beginner Immortal Gate cultivators, how can you compare to my 3 royal brothers? Even if we can fight to a draw, I still have more than 10 king-level ominous beasts. How many of them can they resist? The Qilin tiger sneered and asked. Nangong Shun's face turned pale. The Qilin tiger was not like the other royal-level bloodline warriors. He had a firm mind and would not give others a chance like a brute. Everyone was in a desperate situation. They wanted to break the pot and sink the boat. Battle intent and death chi intertwined. They raised their swords and attacked the sky in unison. What if I join in? A voice pierced through the air. Before the person arrived, the voice was filled with majesty. It was as if a human emperor had arrived. The space shook and a man covered in golden light appeared in front of everyone. A little girl sat on his head. She held a 7-feet-long golden blade in her hand. There was a rope around her waist, and she pulled a wooden coffin. She had the majesty of a prince, but her cultivation level was a little weak. Yi Qinghan. Nangong Shen was delighted. Although Yi Qinghan's cultivation level was not high, Nangong Shen felt that a chance of survival would appear in his body. Moreover, the little girl looked even weaker. She had her eyes closed, as if she could destroy mountains, rivers, sun, and moon if she opened her eyes. So it's you who is going through the tribulation. Unfortunately, your cultivation level is too low. Your gold origin Dao body has become my dowry. The Qilin tiger's eyes lit up. He had seen through Yi Qinghan's origin. His fingertips moved slightly and he reached out to grab Yi Qinghan. He was extremely powerful. Nangong Shen was about to stop him when he saw Yi Qinghan laughing instead of being shocked. His fingertips trembled and a black stone appeared in his hand. It was filled with the aura of death. It was like a desolate death spirit that wanted to break free from its shackles and destroy the universe. The life force of the creature in the stone became stronger and stronger. The gold origin Dao body's golden light covered the sky and covered the golden body. His entire arm was covered in death qi. It was extremely terrifying. Nangong Shen was stunned. The Qilin tiger also stopped in his tracks. His eyes were filled with shock. What is this thing? Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Thousands of beasts roared and retreated, not daring to get close. Yi Qinghan grinned coldly. He flipped his palm and the entire black stone appeared in front of everyone. The terrifying life force was constantly recovering and could break the seal at any time. A peerless evil spirit. The Qilin tiger was shocked. Its royal bloodline boiled and its majesty shook the sky. Its tall and straight body was indomitable. It suppressed everything in the space and looked down at Yi Qinghan. It shouted coldly, "Brat, are you crazy? You actually brought this thing with you. Aren't you afraid of being tainted by karma and being destroyed? Qilin tiger, take your beasts and leave now. Otherwise, let me shatter this stone and let the peerless evil spirit come into being. I just don't know if this peerless evil spirit's appetite will increase greatly after killing all of us. Will it kill its way into the territories of the thousands of races?" Yi Qinghan smiled indifferently. "You are courting death. How dare you threaten me?" The Qilin tiger was furious. It looked coldly at Yi Qinghan. This kind of rookie, no matter how strong his combat power was, the gap between their realms was too big. It could kill him in an instant. Now, he actually dared to threaten it. "So what if I threaten you? You can kill me in an instant, but I can make all of you die here." Yi Qinghan sneered and mocked. Everyone was silent. Yi Qinghan was a madman. No one dared to hold a peerless evil spirit, but he dared. He even dared to use it to threaten others. The Qilin tiger's mouth twitched. Its eyes were fierce as it stared at Yi Qinghan. The killing intent in its eyes was self-evident. "You are the first junior who dares to speak to me like this." The Qilin tiger sneered. "But he will not be the last, stupid tiger." The parrot hid under Emperor Ye's hair and sneered. Cough cough. Nangong Shen could not hold back and laughed out loud. The Qilin tiger was furious. A strand of heaven-suppressing intent pressed down on Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. Boom. Emperor Yi opened his eyes. It was as if the heavenly Tao had descended. The destructive aura covered the sky and instantly crushed the Qilin tiger's will. The great Tao of destruction descended, causing the heavens to tremble. The ferocious beasts howled in grief and knelt on the ground. The embryonic form of the great Tao could also destroy all living things. The Qilin tiger's pupils shrank. Its battle power exploded and tore the space apart, blocking Emperor Ye's great Tao of destruction. However, its terrifying eyes pierced through the space barrier and attacked the Qilin tiger. The Qilin tiger attacked continuously and barely blocked the pair of terrifying eyes. "Master is threatening you because he thinks highly of you. You should be honored." Emperor Yi closed his eyes and said calmly. The three shape-shifting elite warriors glared at Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. If it was not for the fact that the evil spirit in Yi Qinghan's hands could be revived at any time, they would have attacked them. The black stone seemed to have a soul. Its eyes fluctuated and looked down on all living things. Everyone and the beasts trembled as if they were being stared at by a supreme being. What do you want? Once the evil spirit revives, you will be the first to die. The Qilin tiger warned coldly. It's better than all of us dying and you not dying. As for what I want, of course, I want all of you to get lost immediately, Yi Qinghan said indifferently with a smirk. His arms were wrapped in a deathly aura. Golden light flashed as the origin of gold suppressed the evil spirit. Everyone was overjoyed. Who would want to die? Nangong Shen did not want to continue fighting. He also hoped that the battle would end so that he could find a way to go back and inform the human elites to go to another space. Lin Aoqiong and the others looked at Yi Qinghan with a strange light in their eyes. They looked at the evil spirit in his hands that was about to revive and felt their hair stand on end. This evil spirit was definitely an existence above the divine martial realm. It could instantly kill all the humans and beasts here and devour their vitality. Once it was revived, it would definitely cause chaos in the world. If it was at the fake emperor realm, who knew if the evil spirit would attack the human race or the other races after all of them died? The Qilin tiger's face twitched. He did not dare to compete with Yi Qinghan because no one dared to guess what a lunatic did. Moreover, once they attacked, Yi Qinghan knew that he would die. Why would he not take them down with him? Retreat! The Qilin tiger shouted coldly. Boss, are you going to be scared by a junior's words? The three shape-shifting elites were furious. They had been planning for 3 years, but they were scared away by a kid with a stone. They were not willing to accept this. The Qilin tiger looked at the three shape-shifting elites coldly. The aura of an overlord appeared and suppressed the three elites so much that they did not dare to make a sound. Roar! With a tiger's roar, the other races retreated. The Qilin tiger looked coldly at Yi Qinghan and clenched his fists. Kid, I will remember you. I advise you to forget. Otherwise, it will become a nightmare in your heart. Yi Qinghan replied indifferently. Stupid tiger, go back and inform the emperors of the other races. Tell them that their divine beast emperor, the divine bird, has returned. The parrot saw that the Qilin tiger did not dare to make a move and stood up arrogantly. The Qilin tiger looked at the parrot with disdain. He snorted and left with a flick of his sleeves. The aura of death dissipated. The heroes of the human race were all paralyzed on the ground. Those with strong wills took the opportunity to cultivate. Whether they could advance or not depended on this. Nangong Shen did not dare to be careless. He looked at Yi Qinghan and said cautiously, Little brother Yi, this evil spirit is about to revive, right? Yes. I can't suppress it anymore. Yi Qinghan nodded without hesitation and replied in a low voice. You have guts. You dare to carry this thing with you. Aren't you afraid that it will revive at any time and kill you? Dugu Baitian did not take others seriously, but when he looked at Yi Qinghan, he felt his hair stand on end. Ha ha ha, I'm not wild enough. How can I suppress the Qilin tiger? Yi Qinghan laughed. His body shone with golden light. His origin Tao body was fully awakened. He suppressed the aura of death and used the Tao of destruction. He joined forces with Emperor Yi to destroy the aura of death of the evil spirit in the stone and consume its energy. Chapter 214. Tens of thousands of human race experts looked at Yi Qinghan with a different expression. Emperor Yi and Yi Qinghan worked together and only expended a little of the death qi. Using the metal origin to seal the dead spirit made it even angrier and wanted to break free. Everyone was shocked and their Tao hearts trembled. F***ck, don't be devoured by the evil spirit before dying at the hands of the myriad races. Everyone distanced themselves from Yi Qinghan, afraid that they would be contaminated by the death qi and die. Yi Qinghan, why don't you take the stone and go around the myriad races' territory? Someone laughed bitterly and teased helplessly. Yi Qinghan now had the evil spirit in his hand. Even if he went to the myriad races' territory, as long as he did not encounter a boundary emperor, no one would dare to attack him. They would even have to send him away like he was their ancestor. What level is this evil spirit at? Yi Qinghan, let's not play with fire. Many people will die. Nangong Shen was extremely vigilant and said in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan was sweating profusely. He felt that it was getting more and more strenuous. The evil spirit's resistance was also getting stronger and stronger. Seeing that he could not suppress it any longer, some experts were so scared that their Dao hearts collapsed and they fled into the distance. Boom! Yi Qinghan was extremely helpless. He tore open the coffin and threw the evil spirit inside. A wisp of emperors might surged and the evil spirit immediately became obedient, not even daring to struggle. Boom! The tens of thousands of people who were left behind immediately knelt on the ground and looked at the wooden coffin in horror. It was already good enough to see a fake emperor in this lifetime. Even Nangong Shen and the others could not see a boundary emperor, let alone a real emperor. F***ck. Who is Yi Qinghan? Why are the people around him so terrifying? Is there an emperor corpse in this coffin? Nangong Shen and the others were shocked. It was as if 100,000 divine beasts were running wildly in their hearts. Their auras were burning and their blood vessels were swelling. Emperor, I didn't mean to blaspheme you. I really had no choice, please forgive me. Yi Qinghan kept muttering in his heart. It was Yi Qinghan's first time throwing an evil spirit into the coffin. My ancestor, please take me away. My little heart can't take it anymore. The parrot was going crazy. Following Yi Qinghan was like walking on the brink of death. Gulp, everyone swallowed their saliva and knelt in front of the coffin in reverence. They didn't dare to have the slightest intention of blasphemy. Brother, Yi, what kind of existence is in your coffin? Nangong Shen knelt before the monarch coffin. That strand of monarch aura made him feel like he had seen his ancestors. The pressure from his bloodline made him not dare to disrespect it. His legs involuntarily knelt down. It's the body of a great emperor. Cough, cough, don't mind it too much. Let's take the test first. Yi Qinghan coughed dryly, unwilling to mention the emperor corpse again. F***ck. How could he not care? That was the divine body of a great emperor. Even if it had been dead for tens of thousands of years, it was still a true great emperor. Who would dare to not care? What's more, could he still take the test now? The demonic beasts had all retreated, so where were they going to get points? Everyone's eyes were filled with resentment. Even Lin Aoqiong was jealous. What kind of luck was this? Even the emperor corpse was found by him. Let's go back first. We'll talk about the test later. Moreover, most of the people who survived this time are qualified to become hunters. Nangong Shen looked into the void and tried to think of a way to leave this place. However, the space here couldn't be torn apart unless one was a fake great emperor. If they wanted to leave, they would have to wait 20 days for the fake great emperor to tear apart the space again and leave. Brother Lin, Brother Heaven Destroyer, Brother Shao, what's your understanding of the space laws? Can you help me leave this place? Nangong Shen thought for a long time and felt that he couldn't just sit around and wait for death. It was hard to say if the other spaces were dangerous. If they were really controlled by the 10,000 races, the human race would suffer a great loss. Therefore, he had to go back and inform the ancient massacre god. Unless the enemy great emperor made a move, nothing would happen in such spaces. Even if something happened, the ancient massacre god wouldn't know as long as the enemy didn't make a move. Therefore, the possibility of something happening in the other spaces was very high. Nangong Shen couldn't help but feel anxious. It's too dangerous. Once you fall into the space turbulence, you'll definitely die. Dugu Batian frowned. This wasn't something the experts of the immortal sex could do. That's right. The space here isn't any weaker than the monarch domain. Even divine martial experts can't say for sure that they can pass through the space barrier. Xiao Yuni and Lin Aoqiong both tried to stop him. But the ancient massacre god will definitely open more than 10 spaces in the near future for the human race to test. The other spaces might not be as lucky as us to bring out an evil spirit to repel the enemy's expert. Nangong Shen said in a deep voice. There are at least 1 million young experts in the 10 spaces. These are the cornerstones of the human race. We can't lose them. But the 4 of us can't possibly open up a space. Let alone let you pass through the space barrier, Dugu Batian said coldly. Yi Qinghan frowned. If the 1 million young experts of the human race all died in battle, the human race would definitely be dispirited for a long time. Moreover, he wasn't sure if Si Wuxia and the other juniors would run into other spaces to train. Passing through the space barrier at this time was no longer a show of strength. It was an act of helplessness. Regardless of whether they succeeded or not, they were worthy of respect. Count in the 2 of us. Yi Qinghan stepped forward with Emperor Yi. They had decided to take action. Your space laws. Nangong Shen was pleasantly surprised. If there were 2 more people with small success in the space laws, the success rate would definitely increase greatly. Small success in the space laws. Both my son and I have. Moreover, I left a drop of blood essence on my sister. It's easier for me to sense her location and locate the monarch domain's space. Yi Qinghan didn't hold back. If he allowed Nangong Shen to pass through the space now, he might be very safe. However, Nangong Shen's success rate would be very low, and the human race would be in great danger. Are you serious? Nangong Shen was overjoyed. With 6 small success in the space laws working together and the monarch domain's coordinates, the success rate would be at least 60%. Yes. Moreover, I have the metal origin Dao body now. I can withstand normal space storms. The death rate will be lower. The success rate should be 80%. Yi Qinghan nodded and said, Good. I, Nangong Shen, owe you my life. If I'm lucky enough to succeed this time, I will repay you with all my strength. Nangong Shen's blood boiled. In the end, more than 1 man of the human race was willing to sacrifice himself for the human race. When Dugu Batian and the others looked at Yi Qinghan again, the way they looked at him changed. They now regarded him as an existence on the same level. They no longer looked at him with arrogance. Yi Qinghan looked at Gu Qingyu, Mu Yu Tianchen, and the others. He said in a deep voice, After I leave, I'll leave my son in your care. Her physical body is very weak, and she's not suitable for close combat. Do not let strangers near her. Brother Yi, don't worry. With me here, anyone who wants to harm her will have to step over my dead body. Nangong Shen said seriously. Dugu Batian, Lin Aoqiong, and the others nodded to express their thoughts. Good. Let's start now. We'll work together to break the space barrier and enter the alternate space. Leave the locating of the monarch domain to me. Yi Qinghan gazed at the void. The space patterns were very profound. The overlapping of space seemed to be balanced, but in reality, they were connected by alternate spaces. After entering the alternate space, the experts would be able to sense the other space. But if they couldn't sense it and entered the chaotic space storm instead, they would definitely be torn apart. Space laws. Appear. The 5 human experts worked together. The space rippled, and the patterns of the laws were clearly visible. The experts of the human race were overjoyed. They greedily looked at the profoundness of the laws. This was their biggest opportunity. Gu Qingyu's eyes stared at the profoundness of the void. It was as if he could see through everything and feel the origin. The profoundness of the space laws appeared in his sea of consciousness. Those who could survive until now were all super elites of the human race. In the blink of an eye, at least 30 of them were enlightened. 1. The sound of the guqin was vast and mighty, shaking the void. The profoundness of space became clearer, as if it was placed in front of everyone. At this moment, the more than 20,000 experts who didn't escape were all enlightened. The elites who comprehended the space laws were in an era of explosion. Emperor Yi played the guqin with both hands. The 9 strings were like sharp divine weapons, cutting through the celestial dipper glove. Her hands were instantly bathed in a river of blood. Her fingers were connected to her heart, and the pain made her tear up. Enter! Nangong Shen saw that the space had been torn apart and the alternate space was clearly visible. He immediately shouted. Yi Qinghan's figure flashed and disappeared into the space. He didn't take the coffin with him, as he was afraid that the 10,000 races would come back. The space gradually closed. Tens of thousands of people were enlightened. However, Lin Aoqiong, Nangong Shen, and the others stared at the space, wishing they could see through it. Emperor Yi stood in front of the wooden coffin with his guqin. He didn't speak to anyone, and his cold aura kept people 1,000 miles away. Now, everyone could only wait and hope that Yi Qinghan would succeed. However, locating the imperial domain required time. It couldn't be done overnight. Emperor Yi looked at Lin Wutian and the others who were enlightened and healed their injured bodies. Without using his ethereal force, he gently played the guqin. The beautiful melody was accompanied by the space laws, spreading throughout the entire space. The real opportunity was left for the fated. The more than 20,000 people who weren't scared away by the Emperor corpse benefited greatly. Under the stimulation of the space law's profoundness, they were enlightened and could clearly feel the texture of space. Then, under the influence of Emperor Ye's guqin music, the feeling of the space laws turning into reality appeared again. Gu Qingyu was still in the same spot a second ago. In the next second, he mysteriously disappeared. His sword pierced through the sky, and the space cracked open. A narrow alternate space appeared. His sword Dao was so strong that even Lin Aoqiong was shocked. This guy's sword Dao is so terrifying. If he breaks through the immortal realm and evolves his high-level bloodline, he won't be any weaker than me. Lin Aoqiong praised without holding back. Whoosh, after a few breaths, Mu Yu Tianchen and Yi Lingyu also disappeared. Then, hundreds of experts activated the space laws. Nangong Shen and the others were overjoyed. Of course, the more experts there were, the better. In the end, 20,000 people all understood the space laws within 2 hours. Some of the more talented ones directly understood the space laws' embryonic form. After 3 to 5 years, they would naturally reach the small success stage of space laws. Emperor Yi gently played the guqin. There was no killing intent. It was as if he was playing a song from the immortal realm. The light of the Emperor corpse became stronger and stronger. Gradually, it gained the power of blood qi. However, its aura was restrained. The alternate space was extremely dangerous. Sometimes there would be space storms that were strong enough to tear the immortal realm clothes apart. There was only emptiness in the alternate space. Yi Qinghan had to dodge and locate the Emperor corpse at the same time. It was even more difficult. Chapter 2:15. In the alternate dimension, Yi Qinghan's golden body was torn apart. If it were anyone else, they would have been torn to shreds by the storm. Yi Qinghan's spiritual power was highly concentrated. On one hand, he was guarding against the spatial storm, and on the other hand, he was searching for the coordinates of the Dharch domain. The space was vast, and it wasn't something a Tao sovereign or an immortal sect expert could explore. Yi Qinghan had overestimated himself. Even if his life essence was in the Dharch domain, he wouldn't be able to sense it in a short period of time. Staying in this alternate dimension for another 5 minutes would increase the danger. He could die at any time. His true essence formed a Tao robe that protected his golden body. His physical body was being torn apart by the astral winds, and it was constantly being tempered. In this alternate dimension, Yi Qinghan had an easier time comprehending the spatial laws. However, he didn't dare to use them recklessly. He might collide with the spatial storm in the next second. That would be suicide. Whoosh, 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 the storm's formation was inexplicable and sudden. In one breath, the space around Yi Qinghan was still stable, but in the next breath, a spatial storm was born. It brushed past Yi Qinghan several times in a row, tearing his flesh and bones apart. Golden light flashed as it constantly repaired itself. His golden body kept strengthening, but Yi Qinghan was a little anxious. Now wasn't the time for a life-and-death experience. A breath's worth of time might be enough to save tens of thousands of human elites. Divine Martial Emperor Codex, appear. Help me leave this place. Yi Qinghan formed seals with his palms and actively provided vast amounts of energy to the Divine Martial Emperor Codex to help it recover. Yi Qinghan's face turned pale. He gritted his teeth and persevered. He kept touching the spatial nodes, wanting to pass through the barrier and find where Yi Mingxi was. The Divine Martial Emperor Codex didn't disappoint Yi Qinghan. The spatial chapter emitted runes that helped Yi Qinghan's spatial senses increase by 1,000 times. He instantly passed through the barrier. The alternate space wasn't just connected to a single region. It could be connected to any space in the endless universe. The universe was so vast that if one traveled to a desolate area and wanted to return to the imperial domain, it would take at least a few years or even a few centuries. One might even have to wander in the universe forever. At this moment, Yi Qinghan had even given up on defending himself. He was wholeheartedly searching for his other heartbeat. The life essence blood was very attractive to him. He had given it to Yi Mingxi to make it easier for him to locate her. He had never thought that it would come in handy at such a critical moment. Soon, Yi Qinghan discovered the imperial domain. Countless people were preparing to participate in the examination in the ancient god of slaughter's territory. Emperor-level existences appeared one after another, and they were extremely powerful. Immortal Gate realm cultivators could fight against supreme divine martial experts. Yi Mingxi and the others were still waiting, but Huang Xiaohu and Tan Wuxie were no longer there. They had entered the ancient space to take the test. Yi Qinghan used the supreme laws of space, overlapping the nodes of the alternate space and the space of the imperial domain. His physical body burst with all its might, and his body of the great path of the origin of metal was indestructible. He tore through the space barrier with brute force, and his figure flashed, smashing into the hunter's hall from the void. Whoosh! A meteor fell from the sky, startling everyone. Yi Qinghan tore through space. He was already exhausted and had no strength to control the golden body. Seeing that he was about to fall, he gritted his teeth and mobilized the last bit of strength in his blood, using the golden body to smash into the center of the martial arts arena. Get out of the way! An angry roar that was deafening was like a thunderclap. The fake emperor expert opened his eyes slightly. With just his will, he imprisoned Yi Qinghan's body in midair. I am Yi Qinghan from the ancient space. Now, the ancient space presided over by Nangong Shen has been controlled by the myriad races. If the other spaces are also controlled, it will be a land of death. All the examinees will be wiped out. I implore the Supreme Half-Step Emperor to immediately stop the examination and send people to rescue them. Yi Qinghan's golden robes fluttered as he knelt in the void and respectfully pleaded. What did you say? The space presided over by Nangong Shen has been controlled by the myriad races? How did you escape? The fake emperor was shocked. He suddenly stood up, grabbed Yi Qinghan in front of him, and questioned him in a deep voice. What this brat said is absolutely not a lie. We suffered heavy casualties in that space. If it wasn't for the fact that the other party wanted to devour the bloodline of the Dharch, we would have been wiped out. I had an ancient undead sealed in my body that forced the other party to retreat. That was why I had the chance to join forces with Nangong Shen, Lin Aoqiong, and the other thearchs to tear open the space and enter the other space. It was by chance that we found the monarch domain. I implore the Tharch to immediately stop the examination and tear open the space to bring all the examinees back. Yi Qinghan said hurriedly. Whoosh. The fake emperor did not verify any further. He continued to tear open more than 10 ancient spaces. All divine martial artists enter the space. I'll give you 1 incense stick's worth of time to bring everyone out. Friends of the ancient massacre god, please come out of seclusion. There's a big problem with the hunter examination. The fake emperor threw out a sentence and directly took Yi Qinghan into the previous space. As soon as he entered the space, he realized that Yi Qinghan was telling the truth. My lord, I've let you down. The death rate this time is more than 50%. I've let down the human race and the ancient massacre god. Nangong Shen was pleasantly surprised when he saw the space being torn open. He knew that Yi Qinghan had succeeded. Then, his face was filled with guilt as he knelt on one knee and said in a deep voice, "Get up. You've made a great contribution. If it weren't for your reminder, who knows how much trouble would have happened." The fake emperor's expression was ugly. He looked at the remaining 50,000 elites and was incomparably furious. He broke through the shackles and shot into the territory of the 10,000 races. He shouted angrily, "The ancient massacre god will return today's grudge 100 times over." His voice rumbled and spread into the ancient times. The fake emperor was furious. Corpses flew for thousands of miles and blood gushed out, forming a blood-red curtain. 8 figures rushed out from the ancient massacre god forbidden ground. They were all fake emperors. Their figures flashed and disappeared into the ancient space. Seeing the countless casualties in the space, they were furious. Half of the ancient massacre god's small ancient space was controlled by the 10,000 races. It was obvious that the other side's quasi-emperors had made a move. Yi Qinghan's space had a death rate of more than 55%, but it was not the highest. Some ancient spaces had a death rate of more than 70%. More than 100,000 people had entered, but only 30,000 remained. Some of them were heavily injured, and even the emperor-level cultivators were not spared. They were bathed in blood, and when they saw the fake emperor appear, they fainted. It could be seen how many deaths they had experienced in the past 10 days. If it weren't for their willpower, they would have been devoured by the other side's top royal bloodline. Yi Qinghan pulled Emperor Yi over and tied the wooden coffin to his waist with a rope. Then, he brought them out of the ancient space. Millions of people looked at Yi Qinghan. Fortunately, he had taken the risk to rush out of the ancient space. Otherwise, many people would have died. Yi Qinghan, Dugu Baitian, Lin Aoqiong, Xiao Yuni, Emperor Yi, you have all made great contributions to the human race. You have directly become hunters and obtained 10,000 contribution points to be promoted to 3-star hunters. As for the rewards, you will have to wait for the Boundary Emperor to inform you. The 9 fake emperors gathered and discussed. They looked at Yi Qinghan and the others with a frightened expression. If it weren't for Yi Qinghan risking his life to inform them, the human race would have suffered heavy losses. Many thanks to the half-step great emperors. Yi Qinghan and the others were overjoyed. Hunter contribution points were not the same as the contribution points obtained from the ancient space. The difference between the two was huge. The contribution points obtained from the ancient space could only allow one to become a hunter and had no other use. Hunter contribution points, on the other hand, could be exchanged for all kinds of treasures and secret techniques. The test is temporarily suspended. Everyone, return to Emperor Abyss City and wait for the summons. The fake emperor ordered everyone to retreat quietly. They were all discussing in low voices. From time to time, they would look back at Yi Qinghan with gratitude in their eyes. Nangong Shen, you have made great contributions to the human race this time. The Boundary Emperor will definitely summon you personally. Wait for an audience. Many thanks, sir. I dare not claim any credit this time. If it weren't for Yi Qinghan, all of us would have died. Nangong Shen did not claim any credit. He recounted everything that had happened. On the other hand, Yi Qinghan was constantly looking for Si Wuxie and Huang Xiaohu. The two of them were lucky or smart enough to not reveal their strongest battle strength. Especially Si Wuxie. After knowing that the ancient space was controlled by the myriad races, he immediately concealed his aura and did not reveal his bloodline. Otherwise, the ancient space they were in would definitely be attacked by countless experts. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and gathered everyone. He looked back at the wooden coffin, not knowing what to do. Yi Qinghan, you said you have a sealed dead spirit on you? Take it out and let me have a look. The fake emperor from before looked at Yi Qinghan with satisfaction in his eyes. Nangong Shen and the others were still in shock. They did not have time to say that there was an emperor corpse in the wooden coffin. Otherwise, the boundary emperor would have come out of seclusion. Yi Qinghan's expression changed slightly. He pointed at the coffin and said softly, "It's in the coffin, and there's a..." When the fake emperor heard that there was a sealed dead spirit in the coffin, he immediately reached out to grab it. The moment he opened the coffin, a pure emperor aura suppressed the heavens and rushed toward the imperial region. Then, it spread toward the endless universe. Heaven and earth rumbled as the origin of all laws and the great Tao gathered. All spirits knelt down as the boundary emperor broke through the door. Boom! The 9 fake emperors' expressions changed drastically as they knelt down. Welcome back, Supreme Great Emperor of the human race. Dong dong dong, the countless experts on the training ground felt their hearts beat wildly as their faces turned pale. Welcome back, Supreme Great Emperor of the human race. Even an emperor corpse could make a boundary emperor kneel. This was the difference between a great emperor and a boundary emperor. An emperor's body had already proven its Tao. Even if it crossed countless eras, it could still exist in the world. Di Shang was shocked. He never thought that he would be able to see an emperor corpse in this life. He did not know how many years it had been dead, but it was perfectly preserved. It was lifelike, and there were still divine light fluctuations. What Di Shang did not know was that the previous emperor corpse had already withered. It was because Emperor Ye's divine melody had revived the emperor corpse, and it had regained its vitality. Supreme Great Emperor of the human race, all spirits welcome your return. Ask for your identity, and we will bury you in the ancestral land according to the ancient human emperor's standards. Di Shang knelt on the ground, his eyes filled with sorrow. A great emperor had fallen countless years ago, and his corpse was left in the ancient space to be battered by the wind and rain. The emperor corpse floated in the air. It was lifelike, and its vitality was reborn as if it was about to come back to life. Even though it was just a corpse, it suppressed the heavens. Even the dead spirits did not dare to struggle. Yi Qinghan was stunned. How did a dried corpse become like this? Chapter 216. In the boundless universe, all the experts came out. Even if it was just a strand of the emperor's robe fluttering in the wind, it was enough to intimidate everyone. All the experts and quasi-emperors came to see the emperor corpse respectfully. At this moment, the emperor corpse had been dragged by Yi Qinghan to the inner area of the ancient massacre god. Only quasi-emperors and pseudo-emperors could see it. Where did you find this supreme emperor corpse? Zhan Yunxiao, the supreme old ancestor of the Zhan clan, was a quasi-emperor. His battle intent soared to the heavens, and the aura he released unconsciously made people of the same realm feel pressured. This junior found it in the ancient space. Di Shang pointed at Yi Qinghan and said, Yi Qinghan brought Emperor Yi to face the strongest experts of the human race. It was inevitable that he would feel some trepidation. Seniors, there's another emperor corpse in the ancient space, but it's not from the human race. That humanoid emperor's head was pierced by a battle sword and nailed to the cliff. I feel that it's better not to go near it. Yi Qinghan replied respectfully. Even so, we can't let the myriad races have it. Moreover, there's also our human race's emperor weapon. Di Shang's deep eyes looked at the sleeping emperor corpse with reverence. Emperors were invincible in the world, and this emperor corpse could actually kill emperors of the same realm when it was alive. How terrifying was its battle strength! The emperor corpse isn't that easy to touch. Desecrating the emperor corpse is the same as desecrating the true emperor. Although we're quasi-emperors, we'll definitely die if we touch the emperor corpse. Xia Chentian of the Sky Dragon Sacred Dynasty said. He was wearing an emperor's robe and a golden crown. He was incomparably majestic. Then we'll seal this space. No one can enter. A supreme existence of the Xianyuan Dao realm said in a low voice. A supreme existence of the Xianyuan Dao realm, who had once given birth to a supreme human emperor, had to listen to his words. Once the Xianyuan sword appeared, who could fight against it? What about this supreme existence? With the appearance of the emperor corpse, will the evil spirits of the forbidden grounds send out supreme existences to fight for it? An expert of the eternal cloud sacred ground also stood out and asked cautiously. Buzz. The emperor robe trembled, its might overflowing into the heavens, as if it was saying that even if its master had been asleep for 100,000 years, no one could blaspheme him. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. This was not the time for him to interrupt. Just as everyone was discussing what to do with the emperor's corpse, it suddenly came to life and appeared behind Emperor Yi. She was so scared that her face turned pale. She jumped onto Yi Qinghan's body. The parrot was stupefied. It had never seen such a strange thing before. It was so scared that it started to squawk loudly. Ancestor, my heart can't take it anymore. The emperor's corpse is coming back to life. The parrot was so scared that its body went stiff, and it fainted. Dong dong dong, Yi Qinghan's entire body was tense, and he was sweating profusely. Some of the fake emperors were so scared that they were dizzy. They stared at the great emperor's corpse with their eyes wide open. They discovered that the great emperor's eyes were wide open, and he was staring at Emperor Yi. Senior, do you have any unfulfilled wishes? Yi Qinghan's body trembled as he asked in a low voice. The emperor's corpse did not say anything. Its divine body flowed with precious light as it continued to look at Emperor Yi. There was no emotion in its eyes. There was no life in its deep and boundless eyes, but it made people's hair stand on end. The quasi-emperors were shocked. There were so many quasi-emperors and fake emperors here. If the emperor's corpse had a wish, why didn't it look for them? Why did it look for an ignorant little girl? The emperor's corpse's skin became more and more dazzling. It was sparkling and translucent like the body of a living person. Its qi and blood gradually rose. The emperor's corpse had a spirit. Although it did not have a soul, it was recognized by heaven and earth. If anyone or anything dared to blaspheme it, the emperor's corpse would definitely explode. The punishment of the heavens. Unparalleled great emperor, if you have any unfulfilled wishes, please give us a decree. We will do our best. Di Shang and the others knelt on one knee and bowed. The emperor's corpse was silent. It did not even want to look at them. Yi Qinghan looked at the great emperor's weathered face that was filled with sorrow and loneliness. Although there were no emotions in his eyes, there was an inextinguishable battle intent and endless stories. Even though he had died thousands of years ago, he was still worried about the human race and still wanted to fight for the human race. Looking at the great emperor's eyes and weathered face, Yi Qinghan felt like crying. No, there were already 2 streams of tears flowing down. He could not hold it in at all. My son, play a song for the great emperor. Yi Qinghan placed Emperor Yi down and said gently. Emperor Ye's body trembled. He had never seen a moving corpse in his life. Today, he saw the emperor's corpse running behind him and staring at him. Fortunately, Yi Qinghan was beside him. Otherwise, he would have fainted from fright. The emperor's robe shook as if it was responding to Yi Qinghan's words. Emperor Yi sat cross-legged and summoned the divine zither. Divine light shot out in all directions, shocking the boundary emperors. What kind of constitution is this? Many boundary emperors were shocked. This is... Zhang Yunxiao was a Dao realm expert of the ancient Zhang family and had an unbroken inheritance. He was extremely shocked and muttered, "This is the Zither Immortal Crimson Demon Constitution. A supreme constitution that is hard to come by. The first generation Zither Immortal Crimson Demon Constitution once fought side by side with the ancestors of the Zhang family. They fought until the universe collapsed, their talents split into 8 and 6 directions, and even the forbidden grounds were split into pieces. They killed so many evil spirits that they submitted. That was a glorious era." 1. The sound of nature was filled with sorrow and joy. The sound of the zither was vast and mighty, shaking people's hearts. This song is called the Great Emperor's Elegy. Emperor Ye's voice rang out. His figure danced, and the rainbow glaze immortal sex Taoist robe awakened. 4 wings spread out, and he was like a goddess descending to the mortal world. He was so holy that the boundary emperors did not dare to blaspheme him. This was an era of reverence for heroes. This was an era where great emperors rose from all directions. They went on expeditions and fought for the human race. For the survival of the human race, their great emperor's blood spilled and burned the heavens. An inch of mountains and rivers, an inch of blood, 1,000,000 youths, 1,000,000 soldiers. The unparalleled great emperors led the heroes of the human race to conquer the endless universe. They resisted the myriad races and fought in the forbidden lands. Countless heroes fell, and no one even knew their names. Countless people didn't fear death and continued to press forward. The sound of the zither surged, and it was deep and full of vicissitudes. It brought the scene of the ancient times to the present. The great emperor's corpse stood proudly, looking up at the sky as if he was indomitable. His battle intent was high. The sound of the zither changed abruptly, and it was filled with sorrow. The great emperors fought against each other, and they were all stained with blood. 10,000 laws wailed, and the mountains and rivers were flooded with the blood of the great emperors. 8,000 years of cultivation were buried in dust. Both great emperors fell, and heaven and earth mourned. Tens of thousands of spirits cried, and their angry roars shook the mountains and rivers. Farewell, Supreme Great Emperor! Many fake emperors and boundary emperors seemed to have seen a great emperor fall in front of them. Tens of thousands of spirits wept silently, and they could not help but tear up. They seemed to have seen their own end, the end of their ancestors. Farewell, Supreme Great Emperor! The reverence in the hearts of Di Shang and the others reached the extreme, and they could not help but kneel. Yi Qinghan clenched his iron fists, and his qi and blood burned. Golden light shone brightly, and his gold origin Dao body erupted. It was as if he wanted to conquer the universe, shatter the forbidden land with a punch, and kill the emperors of 10,000 races. A great emperor's elegy sang of prosperity and sorrow. The great emperor was unyielding, and he would rather die than fall. His great emperor blood burned, and he wanted to protect every inch of the human race's mountains and rivers. He wanted to fight for a place for the human race to live. This was the so-called, every inch of mountains and rivers is an inch of blood. Now, every inch of land under the feet of the human race was stained with the blood of the great emperors, the essence blood of the human race's ancestors. They had exchanged their lives for this, and they were worthy of respect. Anyone who blasphemed against the heroes was a traitor. Even if they fled 1,000,000 miles away, they should be killed. Farewell, Supreme Great Emperor, please enter the ancestral land to rest in peace. Farewell, Supreme Great Emperor, please enter the ancestral land to rest in peace. Farewell, Supreme Great Emperor, please enter the ancestral land to rest in peace. The 3 voices came from the quasi-emperor, Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi. At this moment, Emperor Yi finally understood the true meaning of the great emperor's elegy. He understood that the Zither Dao was filled with killing intent and battle intent. His Zither Dao had improved, and his battle prowess had increased. The Supreme Great Emperor took a step forward, and he headed straight for the human race's ancestral land. Everyone followed closely behind. Looking at the bloody hole on the Great Emperor's back, they felt even more sorrowful. The sound of the zither rang out again, and the Great Emperor's song was sent to his grave. The Great Emperor's back was filled with sorrow, and it made people's eyes turn red, and Emperor's tears fell. No one knew which era this Great Emperor was from. He fell silently, but he killed the emperors of 10,000 races. He made great contributions to the human race, and fought for 1,000 years of glory for the human race. His corpse was left in the ancient space for countless years, and it was left to be blown by the wind and beaten by the rain. The human race's ancestral land was where countless heroes and emperors of the human race were buried. This was the foundation of the human race, and even the evil spirits did not dare to approach it. Once the emperor formation was activated, no one would be able to withstand it. The tombstones were overflowing with majesty. Most of the tombstones were carved with names and achievements for the future generations to pay respect to. However, there were a portion of heroes whose names were unknown even after death. The future generations could only erect a nameless tombstone for them. Yi Qinghan's blood was boiling. Looking at the tombstones, his battle intent overflowed. The ancestral land shone with golden light, and the great emperor's might was vast and mighty. The many quasi-emperors did not dare to raise their heads. The cemetery that had been lonely for 10,000 years welcomed another great emperor. The heavens and earth were so oppressive that it was hard to breathe. The great emperor's majestic body stood proudly. He stretched out his hand and grabbed a huge rock from the void. He personally built a stone coffin for himself and erected a tombstone. With a flick of his finger, stone fragments flew everywhere, and a simple stone coffin appeared. On the tombstone, 2 flamboyant words appeared: Vast and Mighty River of Eternity. Tianwu. More than 10 quasi-emperors' pupils shrank, and the shock in their eyes was self-evident. He is the Tianwu Great Emperor. Boom. All the quasi-emperors knelt down. Tears flowed down the river. The Tianwu Great Emperor was a supreme existence from 50,000 years ago. He had fought his way into the Forbidden Land 3 times. Each time, he would stain the void with blood. However, each time, he would bring out the corpse of a traitor. The ferocious spirits roared, but they did not dare to chase him out of the Forbidden Land. He entered the Tao through martial arts and called himself the Tianwu Great Emperor. He suppressed the heavens with one hand, and no one dared to disobey him. He destroyed everything, and no one dared to make a sound. He was unyielding, and his body was tainted with the aura of death. However, he still wanted to kill his way into the 10,000 races. In the end, he disappeared without a trace. However, he did not expect that he would use his final glory to take down the emperor of the 10,000 races and fight for the last chance of survival for the human race. He left behind a final sentence for the human race, and that was, "The human race needs heroes, we need to revere heroes. Those who dare to blaspheme the ancestor heroes, even if they betray us and enter the Forbidden Land, they must be prepared to die. May the great emperor rest in peace. This junior will protect every inch of the human race's mountains and rivers with my broken body. Even if the void is stained with blood, I will fight for a breath of time for the human race, and let the human race have another great emperor." Di Shang and the others roared in grief and anger. If the Tianwu Great Emperor did not use his final glory to kill the emperor of the 10,000 races, preventing them from counterattacking, the human race would not have the chance to have another great emperor. They would have become the prey of the 10,000 races long ago. Chapter 217. The Forbidden Land was lifeless, but there were living things. Time had stopped and there was no order. However, there were ancient trees that towered into the clouds. It could be seen that they had existed for at least 100,000 years. Countless immortal treasures and divine medicines stood on the mountain peak of the Forbidden Land. They were protected by the great Tao, and even the dead spirits couldn't get close. It made people drool. If the outside world got their hands on them, they could definitely extend their lifespan. Even a half-emperor could fight against the heavens for another 100 years. There were no weak existences here. Even the appearance of an undead spirit in human form could cause the heavens to collapse and the earth to rend. In a mountain range filled with the aura of death, there were more than 10 dead spirits gathered. They were incomparably powerful, and all of them had bodies. Some of them had ancient trees, some had skeletons, and there was even a half-emperor divine body. They were incomparably powerful. Another powerful emperor corpse has appeared in the human race. Is there anyone who dares to follow me out of the Forbidden Land and snatch it? A terrifying dead spirit was covered in the aura of death, as if he had broken free from hell. His eyes were suffused with red light, and his will could shatter time and space. He must have been a supreme existence when he was alive. The emperor corpse has already entered the ancestral land. Existences without bodies like us will definitely die if we enter the ancestral land. A skeletal dead spirit shook his head. This body couldn't leave the Forbidden Land at all. Otherwise, it would be destroyed by the time and order of the outside world. Even its soul would rapidly age, and its combat power would be greatly reduced. How can a coward who is afraid of death achieve immortality? The half-emperor dead spirit scorned in disdain. What a joke! If you aren't afraid of death, why did you enter the Forbidden Land? With that, the aura of death erupted. More than 10 ancient vicious spirits glared at each other. Their killing intent soared into the sky, and the wind whistled and the ancient trees swayed. The dead spirits weren't united. The Forbidden Land was vast and boundless, and most of them were independent. They rarely met, and only when the emperor corpse appeared in the human race did they join hands for benefit. Once they couldn't reach an agreement, they would immediately turn hostile. A bunch of motley crew. No wonder you haven't achieved anything after holing up here for tens of thousands of years. Since you don't dare to take the risk, just wait for death here. The half-emperor dead spirit stepped out of the Forbidden Land. The laws of time and order of the outside world wanted to tear his body and soul apart. He was surrounded by the aura of death, and the laws of time and order of the world were shielded from his body. It could be seen how terrifying he was in his previous life. Evidently, this quasi-emperor body was also obtained by him when he entered the territory of the human race. This evil spirit had committed countless evil deeds and was nicknamed Guachenzi. He had long been blacklisted by the experts of the human race. Once a great emperor appeared in the human race, they would definitely kill their way into the forbidden area and take his head. The Tianwu emperor was buried, and all the heroes retreated. In the ancient massacre god's training ground, the ancient barbaric palace still existed. The laws and profoundness coexisted, and the great Tao existed together. In a large hall, more than 10 half-emperors sat. They were all of the human royal bloodline. They looked at Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi with admiration and desire in their eyes. Their desire was obviously to fight for these two disciples. Yi Qinghan, the Zhan family's Tao realm, is the place created by the supreme battle physique. It is inextricably linked to your metal origin physique. If you become my disciple, you will definitely be able to enter the blessed land and grotto heaven like Zhan Gu and comprehend the stone tablets left behind by my ancestors. Golden light shot out from Zhan Yunxiao's eyes as he tossed out a bombshell in an attempt to recruit Yi Qinghan. The Tianlong sacred dynasty is also willing to nurture you. You can choose the resources and ancient secret stone tablets. Your status will be the same as Crown Prince Xiaqiue, and we will marry the Saintess Xia Ziluo to you. Your bloodline will definitely be endlessly glorious. Who knows, you might even be able to produce a true supreme emperor. Xiaoqiantian's black hair fluttered without wind. His majesty was overwhelming, and his eyes were filled with the vicissitudes of time. The divine physique bloodline sacred ground invites you to become a member of the Special Physique Alliance. We will nurture you with all our might and will not restrict your actions. The supreme existence of the divine physique bloodline sacred ground, Xiaoqiantian, had the supreme body and was only half a step away from becoming a true supreme emperor. He was incomparably powerful, and with the awakening of his tyrannical blood, he could shatter Tao bodies of the same level with a single punch. He looked at Yi Qinghan's metal origin body with approval in his eyes. For a moment, the 9 factions were all fighting for this disciple. This made Yi Qinghan restless. It was not good to reject anyone. Emperor Yi smiled. Yi Qinghan was able to reach where he was today because of his own hard work and not because of a gift from the heavens. His metal origin body was able to succeed because no one could imagine how much torture he had endured. Now that she had obtained the recognition of a supreme expert, she was truly happy. Stop fighting, all of you. I brought Yi Qinghan from a small border region. Naturally, he is my disciple. He is a genius that I, the ancient massacre god, will nurture with all my might. Di Shang was thick-skinned and directly interrupted everyone's fight. Di Shang was indeed thick-skinned. Previously, he had looked down on Yi Qinghan and the other disciples of the arrogant sect. He had only taken a liking to see Wuxie and Emperor Yi. Unfortunately, he had made a mistake and failed to recognize Tai Hua, a supreme emperor. Now, he had made another mistake. Yi Qinghan had actually reached where he was today. He had the battle prowess of a Tharch. Moreover, although his cultivation level was low, he could be nurtured very well. He was different from other prodigies like the other princes and princesses. They had already formed their own Tao and relied on themselves. They did not need others to guide them. Also, Emperor Yi is also Yi Qinghan's disciple. Don't even think about him. Di Shang was extremely domineering. He wanted to capture all the prodigies in one fell swoop. The corner of Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched. He had only heard of people snatching women from good families. He had never seen anyone forcefully taking in a disciple. You old man, don't think that I don't know. It's true that you brought Yi Qinghan out, but you did not take him in as a disciple. Now that he doesn't have a master, he can freely choose his master. The old monster of the Tianji sect calculated with his fingers. Yi Qinghan's life had been rough, chaotic, and illusory. However, he was still able to calculate what had happened in the past year. He immediately stood out and reprimanded Di Shang. Di Shang's face turned red. He had forgotten that this old monster of the Tianji sect could calculate. When Zhang Yunxiao heard this, he was instantly overjoyed. He once again threw out a huge temptation. Yi Qinghan, do you know the true constitution of your disciple? Zhang Yunxiao asked excitedly. Replying senior, this junior knows. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. Having good talent was not a good thing. If he chose a side, he would definitely offend others. Although a quasi-emperor was broad-minded, there would always be a knot in his heart. You actually know about the Zither Immortal Crimson Demon physique. Zhang Yunxiao blurted out. What did you say? Old Zhang, this girl has the Zither Immortal Crimson Demon physique? The same physique as that existence? The quasi-emperors were shocked. In the desolate era, there were a total of 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. The existence they were referring to was naturally one of the 3 sovereigns of the first generation. The Zither Dao War Sovereign, also known as the Zither Emperor Mu Tiancan. He was the supreme Zither Dao War Sovereign. He opened a Dao and became the human sovereign. Even great emperors had to bow before him. Di Shang's body trembled. He only knew that Emperor Yi was very terrifying. Once he opened his eyes, the Tao of destruction could cause chaos. But who would have thought that she actually had the human sovereign physique? That's right. The Zither Emperor was a good friend of my Zhan family's ancestor. The Zither Tao War Sovereign's stone tablet is still in the Zhan family's Tao realm. This old man can't be wrong. She definitely has the Zither Immortal Crimson Demon physique. Zhan Yunxiao said in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. He looked at Zhan Yunxiao and thought to himself, these old monsters probably won't let go so easily. My metal origin Tao body is already nothing. It can't be compared to the Zither Immortal Crimson Demon physique. Let me say this first. Emperor Yi is a disciple that I have my eyes on, just like Si Wuxia. I will fight with any of you. Di Shang stood up and glared at everyone. He was resolute and had no intention of compromising. Have you nurtured him? The Zither Immortal Crimson Demon physique is the ancient human sovereign physique. Other than the stone tablet left behind by the Zither Emperor, no one else can nurture him. Zhan Yunxiao stood up. His battle intent surged. He was even more unwilling to compromise. The quasi-emperors were all red in the face. They wanted nothing more than to fight and conquer this world. Yi Qinghan was speechless. He raised his head and said, Seniors, Emperor Yi is my disciple. Shut up. The quasi-emperors shouted in unison. Yi Qinghan. Emperor Yi smiled bitterly and stood up. He bowed and said, Seniors, this junior only recognizes one master and will only have one master. The quasi-emperors. After arguing for so long, even the main character could not bear to watch any longer. Geniuses were willful. They could choose whoever they wanted. No one could influence Emperor Ye's will. She did not care if she offended these supreme existences. Yi Qinghan, Emperor Yi is still young and does not know how to make a choice. However, if you don't want him, you are also not sensible. The quasi-emperors looked at Yi Qinghan threateningly. Right now, they could only fight for Yi Qinghan. If they could fight for Yi Qinghan, it would mean that they could fight for Emperor Yi. They could even fight for another human emperor's bloodline, the Golden Bloodline. Qinghan, I am the one who nurtured you. Di Shang deliberately sighed and looked at Yi Qinghan with sincerity. Di Shang, can you be a little more shameless? Don't play the emotional card. Everyone reprimanded. They were all quasi-emperors, and no one gave face to the other. Yi Qinghan's heart was about to collapse. It was as if there were 100,000 ferocious beasts running wildly. Seniors, you think so highly of this junior. This junior is really ashamed. Yi Qinghan was speechless. He knew that they were interested in the Zither Immortal Crimson Demon physique, and that he was just a side benefit. However, he could not say anything. Dear Emperors, can we all bow to each other? We are all masters. Isn't that great? It won't hurt each other's feelings. Master can still learn more, right? The parrot's eyes flashed. It took the initiative to speak for Yi Qinghan. If they were rejected, these old fellows would not argue with a little bird. However, what if they succeeded? Yi Qinghan would be lucky. The Tao tablets left behind by the emperors and the cultivation techniques left behind by the human emperors were much more complete than the divine martial emperor code. Yi Qinghan pressed down on the parrot's head and purposely said, Seniors, please don't argue with it. It just likes to talk. Di Shang looked at the parrot angrily. He knew that this stupid bird was unreliable. However, the other quasi-emperor's eyes lit up. In terms of feelings, they could not compete with the ancient massacre god. In terms of benefits, they could not compete with the Zhan family's Tao realm. After all, there was the Zither Emperor's Tao tablet. If they could bow to it, how could they not be happy? Who did not want to become the next Zither Emperor's master? Just this identity alone was enough for them to be famous for eternity. Forever in the annals of history. Alright. I agree. Xia Chentian, the Emperor of the Sky Dragon Sacred Dynasty, said immediately. I agree too. I have no objections either. In an instant, other than Zhang Yunshao and Di Shang, all the other quasi-emperors agreed. They had no choice but to agree. Then Emperor Yi should be comprehending the Zither Emperor's Dao tablet in our Zhan family's Dao realm. You can't fight for it anymore. Otherwise, you will be delaying the glory of the human race. You will be a sinner of the human race. Zhang Yunshao reminded. Everyone's mouth twitched. They were speechless and did not dare to argue. Chapter 218. Within the ancient massacre god palace, heroes coexisted, and even fake emperors had to stand aside. Yi Qinghan stood proudly. Even if a quasi-emperor took him in as a disciple, they could not arrange his life. Reverence was one thing, but he still had to walk his own path. Seniors, I still have some matters to take care of. I will visit the Dao realm experts one by one, Yi Qinghan said respectfully. It's time to change the way you address me. Xia Chentian smiled. The emperors all nodded. They had to confirm this level of relationship before they could be at ease. Disciple Yi Qinghan greets the masters. Yi Qinghan did not act pretentiously. It was a great honor to be able to take these quasi-emperors as his masters. If any prince knew that these quasi-emperors were taking him in as a disciple, he would have fought for this spot long ago. Ha ha ha. Good, good. The human race has gained another prince. The human race's glory is just around the corner. Zhang Yunshao was extremely excited. The human race had been suppressed for too long, and it was time to explode. He was afraid that Yi Qinghan would not be able to find the Zhan family's Dao realm expert, so he took out a Zhan family medallion and said, "With this medallion, I can guide you to the Zhan family. Moreover, no one will dare to stop you." Yi Qinghan stood up and respectfully took the medallion. He found that this medallion was definitely a supreme treasure. Its effects were indescribable, and it was filled with the origin of laws. There were even some great Daos. Afterward, the other powers all threw out medallions that represented their status. Yi Qinghan did not hold back and took them all. The parrot was extremely happy. With these medallions, who would dare to be impudent in the human race? Yi Qinghan brought Emperor Yi out of the ancient massacre god palace. He did not dare to move around carelessly. This place was filled with killing intent. If he accidentally entered a death zone, the formation would instantly kill him and Emperor Yi. In the Hunter Hall, a group of young disciples saw Yi Qinghan and came forward to thank him. There was no lack of emperor-level experts among them. They all wore smiles and were not arrogant. Yi Qinghan nodded repeatedly, unwilling to offend them. These young experts would become the cornerstones of the human race. Many of them would die in battle for the human race, and their blood would dye the battlefield red. Yi Qinghan cupped his fists and said, "Fellow Taoists, I still have some personal matters to attend to. If we meet again in the future, I'll treat you all to a meal and have a good chat." Ha ha ha, then we'll be waiting for Brother Yi. Everyone laughed and cupped their fists in return. Nangong Shen, Lin Aoqiong, and the others appeared one after another. They waved at Yi Qinghan and said loudly, "Brother Yi, let's go and become a hunter." "Good. Wait for me." Yi Qinghan followed Nangong Shen and the others into the main hall. At this moment, Nangong Shen had officially become a 5-star hunter. His killing robes were majestic, and he had also fulfilled his wish to become a member of the ancient massacre gods. Lin Aoqiong, Dugu Baitian, Xiao Yuni, Yi Qinghan, and Emperor Yi entered the depths of the headquarters. The depths were incomparably majestic, and the aura of righteousness and killing intent coexisted. No one dared to blaspheme this place. Nangong Shen's majestic aura was no longer gentle. He stood on the stage with 5 killing robes in his hands. He stared at the 5 people and said in a low voice, I am Nangong Shen, a member of the ancient massacre gods. I hereby confer the status of 3-star hunters to the 5 of you. Remember, as hunters, you must uphold the glory of the human race. You must not betray the human race, betray your faith, or become a traitor. Otherwise, the ancient massacre gods will kill you even if they have to enter the Forbidden Land. Yi Qing Han and the others stared at the rules of hunters. The first rule was that they must not betray the human race, betray their faith, or become a traitor. Traitors were traitors, and they would never have a good ending. They would be despised by the human race. The second rule: after becoming a hunter, they must protect the human race for life. Even if they were stained with blood on the battlefield, they must not retreat half a step. They must be loyal to the human race until death. There were at least 100 rules. All of them revolved around the righteousness of the human race. From this, one could see the purpose of the ancient massacre gods and the greatness of the Creator. Please make the oath, Nangong Shen said in a deep voice. I, Yi Qinghan Lin Aoqiong, hereby swear that I will never betray the human race, betray my faith, and become a traitor. I swear that I will protect the human race for life. Even if I am stained with blood on the battlefield, I will not retreat. I must be loyal to the human race until death. Swearing the oath was a long process. Yi Qinghan and the others pounded their chests with their right fists. Their blood boiled as they recited the oath without hesitation and memorized it in their hearts. Their voices surged, penetrating the shackles of the void and spreading to the outside world. It affected the heroes and made their blood boil. They wanted to swear the oath right now and fight for the human race. We swear that if we go against the oath today, we will be despised by the human race for eternity. The 5 of them roared the last sentence with all their might, causing the sky to tremble. Once the oath was made, all laws would recognize it, and the great Tao would descend. Whoever dared to betray the oath would be hunted down by all the heroes in the world. Nangong Shen and the others had tears in their eyes. In fact, they were not the only ones. Outside the Hunter Hall, almost everyone had tears in their eyes. They clenched their fists and wanted to become hunters immediately. Swearing the oath was not just words. It had to be proven with actions. They shed tears today and shed blood in the future. They could even die in battle for the human race. Wear it. In the future, whether you are a member of the ancient massacre god or not, we will all be brothers and sisters. Nangong Shen handed over the 5 robes and said in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan and the others took the robes and put them on. They were dazzling with 3 stars. The 5 of them were definitely unprecedented. This was a robe that was obtained through strength. Emperor Yi also felt that it was an honor. It was worth wearing. Their clothes fluttered in the wind as the word kill seemed to come alive. It was far more terrifying than the 1-star killing gown. The quality of the word was also much better. The 5 of them walked out of the hunters' headquarters side by side. They gazed at the heroes and saw the excitement in their eyes. Gu Qingyu and the others were also excited. At this moment, there was nothing more exciting than becoming hunters. Moreover, they had the qualifications to become hunters. The mortality rate was above 55%. They were still alive, which was proof. No one dared to say no. Especially in the space where Yi Qinghan was, there were at least 20,000 people who had comprehended the space laws. Once they joined forces, they could definitely tear apart a divine martial expert. However, they were grand martial saints. Only a small portion of them were immortal sect experts. Nangong Shen also walked out. He looked at the hundreds of thousands of people in the square, and said in a deep voice, "Those brothers who followed me to train, those who comprehended the space laws in the end, line up in 10 lines. I will personally bless you with the robes and preside over your oath." Gu Qingyu and the others formed the first line and became the second batch of people to swear the oath. Yi Qinghan and the others stood to the side and waited quietly. Nangong Shen swiped the void, and the rules of the Hunter Hall appeared in the void. He waved his hand, and more than 300 three-star hunters walked over with robes in their hands. As hunters, you must have your own beliefs in your hearts. That is the glory of the human race. Ask yourselves, do you have them? Nangong Shen used the laws and roared. His voice shook the clouds for thousands of miles. Even Emperor Abyss City could be heard clearly. Yes, we fight for our beliefs, for the glory of the human race. Even if we dye the battlefield with blood and bury our corpses in the void, we will not regret it even if we die. Tens of thousands of people roared in unison. Their auras were vast, suppressing the great Tao for thousands of miles. These people were all elites of the human race, super elite. Tears flowed from their eyes. This moment was glory. Tears did not represent cowardice, but glory and happiness. The human race does not know your names. Even if you die on the battlefield, they will not know of your existence. Will you regret it? Nangong Shen's tears flowed, and the emotions of millions of elites were stirred. We will not regret it even if we die. Everyone cried. They wore the robes and could die at any moment, but no one was willing to retreat. You are heroes, heroes of the human race. The human race might not remember your names, but the ancient killing god will not forget you. Your names will be engraved on the hero tablet. Even after hundreds and thousands of years, your names will remain in the world forever. Now swear the oath. Golden light erupted in the void. The rules of the Hunter tablet were engraved in the void, stealing people's souls. I, Gu Qingyu, Shi Gu, swear that I will never betray. Tens of thousands of people swore at the same time. Their auras suppressed the heavens for thousands of miles. The great Tao of the heavens avoided them. The blue sky and white clouds surged for millions of miles. The righteous aura and killing intent made people's blood boil. The entire imperial region was boiling because of this, and they felt even more reverence towards the Hunter tablet. Even if we die on the battlefield, we will not regret it. A majestic voice resounded through the air. An inch of mountains and rivers, an inch of blood, 1,000,000 youths, 1,000,000 soldiers. The human race was weak, but they were united. So what if there were tens of thousands of races? So what if they were dead spirits? After countless eras, they had not conquered half of the human race's territory. Your lives, including mine, were saved by Yi Qinghan. Let him say the most glorious words for our lives that are about to fall. Nangong Shen leaned to the side and gestured to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was stunned. He did not expect Nangong Shen to push him out at this time. Looking at the expectant eyes of tens of thousands of people, he clenched his fists and stepped forward. His aura rose, and his body shone with golden light. He clenched his right fist and leaned it against his right chest. He said in a low voice, I, Yi Qinghan, am honored to have brothers and sisters like you who have fought side by side in this world. May the human race be glorious for thousands of years. May the heroes be immortal. May the human race be glorious for thousands of years. May the heroes be immortal. Tens of thousands of people roared. They wanted to kill their way into the heavens and step into the forbidden land. The quasi-emperors looked at Yi Qinghan in front of the Hunter tablet and nodded. If he could say such words, he would not become a traitor. He was a person who respected heroes. He was worthy of being nurtured by the human race. Nangong Shen pursed his lips and suppressed his emotions. He was not even this excited when he swore to become the ancient killing god. He also did not have this honor. This group of existences before him must be diehard loyalists of the human race. Yi Lingyu looked at Yi Qinghan as if he was looking at the unparalleled war king of the past. He was an existence who could fight against hundreds alone and would die without regret. His heart was sad. In the end, he was still inferior to him. There was no jealousy in Gu Qingyu's eyes. Instead, they were filled with gratification. His brother was able to reach this step because of his hard work. He was confident that he could also reach this step after his hard work. The killing robes were distributed. They were all ordinary killing robes. If one wanted to reach 1 star, they would still need to work hard. Many people did not even get a 1-star killing robe before they died. This era was cruel. Either you fight or you hide. P.S. Writing this chapter is really moving. I feel like I am in the same situation. I also want to say to the many brothers and sisters who truly support the Kuang Wu Zhan. In this world, it is my greatest honor to have brothers and sisters like you who have fought side by side with me. I hope that the Kuang Wu Zhan will become even more beautiful. More and more people will come to read it, or create it. I beg for everyone's monthly votes to fight for Mad Marshall. Chapter 219. Nangong Shen continued to stay in the Hunter Hall to preside over the promotion. Yi Qinghan took the lead to lead the insane sect, Yi Lingyu and Yi Jianma back to his hall. Lingyu, Yi Jianma, I owe you a favor and I'll repay it today. I don't know if this holy elixir can change your fate, but it'll definitely help your cultivation. Yi Qinghan sealed the main hall and took out a thumb-sized bloody corpse Ganoderma. Its fragrance assailed the nostrils and its Tao was everlasting. This is... Yi Lingyu was shocked. This holy elixir was rarely seen in 10,000 years. He couldn't recognize it. This is called bloody corpse Ganoderma. It's the essence of the great emperor's blood. What you can get from this elixir depends on your luck. Whether you can change your fate also depends on your luck, Yi Qinghan said frankly. Yi Lingyu's mouth twitched. He didn't expect Yi Qinghan to be so generous as to give such a precious elixir to them. Take it. There's still some left. They'll all have a share. This is a little reward for not betraying me and helping me back then. Yi Qinghan put the bloody corpse Ganoderma in Yi Lingyu's hand and patted his shoulder. He said seriously, I think your luck will come later. Your future will be brilliant. I'll thank you in advance. I feel uneasy taking advantage of you. 1 year later, I'll personally perform a divination for you and help you avoid certain death. Yi Jianma nodded. A life in exchange for a holy elixir was a win-win situation for both of them. Yi Lingyu probably didn't expect that because of this bloody corpse Ganoderma, he would obtain a great opportunity and Yi Jianma's fate would change. Only a group of insane sect disciples, Mu Yu and Tianchen, were left in the hall. Their eyes were shining. If they gave Yi Lingyu a holy elixir, they wouldn't be any worse. Sure enough, Yi Qinghan took out an even bigger bloody corpse Ganoderma. Even if they divided it equally, it wouldn't be less than Yi Lingyu's. Yi Qinghan distributed them according to cultivation and talent. Nangong Qingyue was grinning from ear to ear. With this holy divine medicine, she would definitely be able to step into the ranks of true first-rate powerhouses and would no longer be behind Mu Yu Tianchen. Nangong Xiaobei also obtained quite a bit. In order to speed up his progress, he directly ran to his room and started refining. The juniors all retreated, leaving only Gu Qingyu holding the biggest blood corpse Ganoderma. Qingyu, you have to walk your own path. I can't give you too much advice. Let me show you a Sword Dao chapter of the Divine Martial Imperial Codex. It might be of help to you. Yi Qinghan decided to share the Divine Martial Imperial Codex with his brothers. Gu Qingyu's body shook. He gazed at Yi Qinghan and asked in a hoarse voice, You really have the God Martial Emperor canon? And it really is, but I couldn't control it in my previous life, so I couldn't hand it over. I also couldn't use it to save the Yi clan, so I couldn't say anything back then. Even if I did, no one would believe me. I could only watch as the Yi clan was slaughtered. Yi Qinghan felt guilty when he mentioned the Yi clan. Let bygones be bygones. Don't think about it anymore. After all, the enemy has already been killed. Only the traitor of the Yi clan is left. When we return to the Xiaolong region in the future, we will find him sooner or later. Gu Qingyu nodded and said. After reading the Sword Dao chapter of the Divine Martial Emperor Canon, you should bitterly cultivate for a period of time. Make a trip to the eternal battlefield and find Sikong Qingjun. I wonder if something happened to him. Yi Qinghan's eyes were filled with worry. Gu Qingyu nodded. His eyes were filled with anticipation. He wanted to see what the great emperor's sword Dao was like. Yi Qinghan formed seals with both of his palms and concentrated his mental power to call out the Divine Martial Imperial Codex. The pages of the Divine Martial Imperial Codex continuously flip. After a long time, it turned to the Sword Dao chapter. The sharp sword qi was incomparably overbearing. It was as if the emperor's sword was hanging in the air, ready to slash down and shatter everything at any time. The supreme sword intent filled the hall and displayed itself in front of Gu Qingyu's eyes before shooting into his sea of consciousness. Gu Qingyu took a deep breath and stared at the Imperial Codex without blinking. Even if his consciousness was damaged, he was not willing to give up. He desperately tried to comprehend the great emperor's sword intent. The Sword Dao chapter of the Divine Martial Imperial Codex evolved into a sword that split the sky. It seemed slow, but in fact, it was extremely fast. It contained countless profound meanings and came from the end of the universe. In the blink of an eye, it shattered hundreds of millions of li of space and time. Wherever it passed, dead stars were shattered and star regions were split open. PFFF. Gu Qingyu spat out a mouthful of essence blood, and his mental power was dispirited. No matter how powerful his solitary sword Dao was, it could not be compared to the great emperor's sword Dao for the time being. Go back and consume the bloody corpse Lingji. It will definitely be beneficial to your cultivation. It is not suitable to read the Divine Martial Imperial Codex now. Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Thank you, brother. Gu Qingyu nodded. One sword, one man, one brother. There was no need to say anything more since the Divine Martial Imperial Codex was opened for him. Brother, there is no need to thank me. Yi Qinghan smiled and left the hall, heading straight for the Imperial Abyss City. The Heavenly Dragon Sacred Dynasty, the imperial capital, had a history of tens of thousands of years. It was a ninth-grade dynasty built by a great emperor. Even until now, it was still an upper eighth-grade dynasty. As long as a great emperor was born, this dynasty would quickly return to being a ninth-grade dynasty. The Crown Prince's palace was vast and majestic. The spiritual energy was overwhelming, and it was comparable to a sacred ground. On the Ice Dragon Mountain, a young man dressed in a golden battle robe stood at the peak of the mountain. He looked incomparably cold and lonely. His hair was hanging down, occasionally fluttering in the wind. The side of his face was like jade, as if it was a work of the gods. He was holding a 4-feet-long ice sword. It was crystal clear, as if it was a sword of frost. Looking from behind, it was like looking at a majestic ice mountain, making people unable to approach him. He was the only one in the huge Crown Prince's palace. One could see how cold and lonely he was. He didn't want to communicate with others. He had entrusted his life to the Sword Dao so that he could lead the heroes of the human race to destroy the Forbidden Land. He was the Crown Prince of the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Dynasty, Xiaqiyu. His combat strength was unparalleled. He had already torn apart a top-grade king-level beast. That was his first battle after entering the world, and also the battle that made him famous. Brother, you have to help me. My father is crazy. How could he let me marry a Tao master? A clear voice came from the bottom of the mountain, interrupting Xiaqiyu's thoughts. Xiaqiyu slowly turned around. His eyes were as bright as stars, deep and vast. His face was enough to make the world lose its color and make women jealous. At this moment there was a faint smile on his face, which made the ice dragon mountain full of vitality. Perhaps only this little girl could interrupt Xia Qiue's thoughts and make him smile. Xia Ziluo was the youngest princess of the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Dynasty. On the day she was born, purple qi came from the east and descended on the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Dynasty. It made the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Dynasty's fortune even richer. Hence, she was named Xia Ziluo. She was deeply loved by the strong cultivators of the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Dynasty. Her status was as high as Crown Prince Xia Qiue's. Xia Ziluo was very fast. In the blink of an eye, she was halfway up the mountain. In a flash, she appeared in front of Xia Qiue. "You crazy girl! You don't know how to cultivate. All you know is to run around. You really need a man to discipline you." Xia Qiue looked at the peerless beauty in front of him. She was wearing a phoenix coronet and a robe, as if she had walked out of a fairyland. She was crystal clear and flawless. The sky eagle was about 1.7 meters tall. Her face was definitely 16 years old, but her body was 20 years old. At this moment, she was pouting, revealing a pair of deep dimples. He couldn't help but smile bitterly and pretended to be angry. "Brother! Are you really my brother? Father wants to marry me off. Did you hear that?" "I'm marrying a little Dao Master rookie that I've never seen before. You can crush countless little rookies with a single finger. It's better to kill me than to marry such a man." Xia Ziluo was furious. Her eyes were wide open like the bright moon. Xia Qiue frowned and looked at Xia Ziluo in confusion. She asked, "Where did you get the news?" "Father personally sent a message to me. It can't be wrong." Xia Ziluo's eyes reddened. Then, she said coquettishly, "Brother, help me persuade father, or beat that boy up and make him reject the marriage." Xia Qiue's eyes moved. She was even more curious. What kind of person could make her father interested? And it was a Dao Master. Which Dao Realm Holy Land's direct disciple? "Who is it? Which Dao Realm Holy Land?" Xia Qiue asked indifferently. "What's his name?" Yi Qinghan. "Yes, it's this name. I've never heard of it. In short, I don't care. Take me to Emperor Abyss City. I want to defeat him and make him reject the marriage. Otherwise, I'll break his legs," Xia Ziluo said angrily. But with this baby face and pleasant voice, no matter how one looked at it, she was acting coquettishly and not angry. "Don't be impulsive and disrupt father's plans. Let's go to Emperor Abyss City first. Maybe you'll be satisfied." Xia Qiue frowned. Her cold sword trembled, and the sound of the sword soared into the sky. A dragon carriage rushed out from the Crown Prince's palace. It was pulled by a 7th-rank azure dragon, overflowing with majesty. Whoosh! The two of them soared into the sky and boarded the dragon carriage. Their speed was as fast as lightning, and the azure dragon rushed toward Emperor Abyss City. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was buying materials for the transformation pill. He was about to leave when a chill suddenly enveloped him. He sneezed, frowning as he muttered to himself, "Who has such a deep grudge against me?" But he didn't feel any danger. He just felt a chill all over his body. Yi Qinghan didn't care. He had received a lot of materials, and now it was time to return the favor. The god-slaying eagles had followed him for several years and had been injured many times. He had been very busy these days and hadn't had time to help them advance to the 5th rank, nor had he let them transform. Now that he was free, he had to start refining them. Even if they couldn't follow him into battle, he had to give them a good home. Returning to the main hall, Yi Qinghan began to use his true essence to stimulate the earth fire and refine the transformation pill. This kind of pill wasn't too high level. At most, it was the top 5th rank. With Yi Qinghan's current strength, he might be able to refine a 6th rank transformation pill. With a good treasure like the smelting divine furnace, he could refine both weapons and pills. The refining of the form transformation pills was very fast. After 6 hours, he had finished refining them. 2 6th-grade form transformation pills and 4 5th-grade top-grade form transformation pills. After that, he summoned Emperor Yi and asked her to summon the god-slaying eagles. The 2 god-slaying eagles, who hadn't shown themselves for a long time, had the support of their bloodlines. Their bloodlines were rich and high-level, and they were almost at the 5th rank. They were much smarter and were about to transform. When they saw Yi Qinghan, they immediately flattered him and kept rubbing against Yi Qinghan's robes. Yi Qinghan casually waved his hand, and the last piece of bloody corpse Ganoderma split into 2 and placed it in front of the god-slaying eagles. Eat it. If you can advance to the 6th rank, you will accompany me in battle. If not, I will give you your freedom. Yi Qinghan said to the god-slaying eagles in a low voice. Chapter 220. The main hall was majestic and surrounded by buildings. Hundreds of hunters rushed out of their houses and looked at Yi Qinghan's room. Wisps of majestic aura were spreading and strengthening, as if a super ferocious beast was awakening. What is that? Where did this ferocious beast come from? How dare it come to the hunter's territory? Find it. It seems to be the aura coming from Yi Qinghan's main hall. Why does it feel like a low-level ferocious beast is evolving? Everyone was discussing. The aura was getting stronger and stronger, surpassing level 6, and it was still growing. It has surpassed level 6. Go and inform Master Nangong. Don't let anything happen to Yi Qinghan. Everyone was very sensitive to the level of demonic beast. They immediately identified it. Soon, 3-star hunters rushed out and went straight to the hunter's main hall. Nangong Shen was shocked when he learned that Yi Qinghan's residence had a level 6 ferocious beast. That was in existence in the immortal realm, and its aura was still rising. If something happened, it would be a great loss to the human race. Whoosh! Nangong Shen used the power of law and appeared in front of Yi Qinghan's main hall. He found that the entire hall was covered by an invisible gang qi. Unless he broke it open by force, he could not enter. Space Law, appear. Nangong Shen used his palms as fingers and swiped them in front of his eyes. His eyes turned into scorching suns and pierced through the void. He saw through the shackles of space and looked at the center of the main hall. 2 powerful god-slaying eagles were evolving crazily, their bodies emitting golden light. Emperor Yi and Yi Qinghan were standing at the side, very safe. Phew! Nangong Shen exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. He was shocked by Yi Qinghan's courage. First, he made a sealed dead spirit, and its level was frighteningly high. Then, he pulled out a great emperor's corpse. He dared to travel through the alternate space when he was still a Dao master. Now, he was raising level 6 ferocious beast. Was there anything he did not dare to do? The god-slaying eagles shone with golden light and radiated divinity. There were wisps of Emperor's aura around them. What the hell did Yi Qinghan feed the god-slaying eagles? A 4th-grade god-slaying eagle could actually be raised to a 6th-grade god-slaying eagle. Nangong Shen's hair stood on end. He wanted to rush in and interrupt, but he was afraid of affecting Yi Qinghan's plan. All he could do was wait anxiously. As time passed, the god-slaying eagle's aura continued to strengthen. Yi Qinghan forced out 2 drops of golden blood from his fingertip. The spiritual energy was overwhelming and contained the profound meaning of the nomological laws. They shot directly into the god-slaying eagle's mouth. Screech! The god-slaying eagle let out a solemn and stirring roar. It spread its wings and covered the spacetime, shattering the gang qi outside the hall. Nangong Shen immediately charged in. At this moment, the god-slaying eagle's wingspan was several hundred feet. It flew straight into the void from the backyard and let out a deafening roar. The powerhouses within 100 miles were shocked and raised their heads one after another. They saw that the top rank 6 ferocious bird was evolving rapidly and was about to reach rank 7. They were shocked. "Brother Yi, is your god-slaying eagle loyal?" Nangong Shen asked anxiously. "Don't worry, no problem." Yi Qinghan's eyes were filled with surprise. He thought that the god-slaying eagle could purify rank 6 at most. He did not expect that a piece of bloody corpse Lingji and his origin blood essence would allow them to reach rank 7. A rank 7 god-slaying eagle. This is the first time I've seen it. It's also the first time it has appeared in history. You've created a miracle. Nangong Shen was speechless. He stared at the void and realized that the god-slaying eagle was transforming. Its wings were expanding rapidly, and its body was becoming stronger and bigger. Its sharp claws shook lightly, and ripples appeared in the void. Its feathers turned from black to pale gold. It emitted golden light and a powerful aura. The god-slaying eagle had already broken the miracle. Its body had become more than 50 meters long. When it spread its wings, the sky darkened. Its sharp eyes pierced through the sky. It was still transforming. Screech! The god-slaying eagle let out a final roar. Its sharp claws completely shattered the sky. Its bloodline had officially entered rank 7. Its wings had become divine weapons. Each feather contained the nomological laws of attack. Its entire body was completely golden. Its body broke through 100 meters, and its wings beat the river. Even the 3-star hunter's expressions changed. "You didn't disappoint me. A rank 7 ferocious bird, the god-slaying eagle. I might be able to cultivate it to rank 8, or even the top of rank 8. Yi Qinghan was excited. Rank 9 ferocious birds were too rare. This kind of creature was the natural enemy of most creatures. Once a rank 9 emperor-level god-slaying eagle appeared, it would definitely be invincible. Even the great emperors of the human race would have to be cautious. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan carried Emperor Yi and soared into the sky. They landed on the rank 7 god-slaying eagle's wings. The god-slaying eagle didn't have any intention to resist. It carried Yi Qinghan and gently spread its wings. They traveled 1,000,000 miles. Whoosh! The god-slaying eagle disappeared from the eyes of tens of thousands of people in the blink of an eye. In 2 hours, it had traveled hundreds of millions of miles. This distance was equivalent to 1/10 of the sovereign region's radius. It was equivalent to the god-slaying eagle charging out of the sovereign region in 40 hours. Their speed was unparalleled in history. It was comparable to the human race's great perfection divine martial artists. It was even faster than some of the slower fake emperors. Whoosh! The god-slaying eagle swallowed a large number of spirit crystals and quickly replenished its true essence. Its speed became faster and faster. With a light flap of its wings, it traveled 1,000,000 miles. Ha ha ha! Yi Qinghan raised his head and laughed. To be able to nurture 2 miracles, even if he used the bloody corpse Lingji, it wasn't a loss. The god-slaying eagle clearly knew that it would be easy to force Yi Qinghan to break the contract. However, it wasn't willing to leave at this moment. Now that it had advanced to rank 7, it naturally wanted to rush to rank 8. It even wanted to create a precedent and rush to the top of the 10,000 races, becoming a rank 9 bird. Until now, there were only a few races in the 10,000 races. They enslaved the other races. Every race wanted a supreme existence to rush out and lead their race to become the supreme royalty. The god-slaying eagle also wanted to. Screech! The god-slaying eagle swooped down and started to return to the hunter's territory. Although Emperor Yi couldn't see it, he could feel the vastness of the endless universe. Standing at the top of the sky and looking down on all living things, this feeling made him very happy. He reached out with both hands, wanting to grasp the world. Yi Qinghan smiled. His clothes fluttered. Looking at the Emperor Abyss City in front of him, he was inexplicably excited. Roar. There was a deafening roar. The azure dragon's aura spread for thousands of miles. The god-slaying eagle and the azure dragon fought fiercely from tens of thousands of miles away. Their hostility was very obvious. The azure dragon wasn't a real dragon. It was just a high-level flood dragon. It still belonged to the half-snake race. Its natural enemy was the god-slaying eagle. At this moment, as soon as they touched, it immediately roared. Its sharp claws tore through the void, and it arched its body to attack. Yi Qinghan's eyes pierced through thousands of miles. He saw a young man and a woman on the dragon carriage. They were dressed in imperial battle robes and a phoenix coronet. Although he didn't know that they were from the Sky Dragon Sacred Dynasty, he could guess that they were imperial princes. He didn't want to offend them, so he suppressed the god-slaying eagle directly. Not an enemy. Don't attack, Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. The god-slaying eagle immediately quieted down. It followed Yi Qinghan's lead. Emperor Yi jumped onto the back of another god-slaying eagle. His broad back was as steady as a continent. There wasn't the slightest jolt or panic. The azure dragon was shocked and angry at the god-slaying eagle. It couldn't stop roaring and roaring. Xia Qiue frowned. Her cold sword shook, and sword qi rushed into the clouds. Imperial qi spread out, suppressing the azure dragon. If you dare to be presumptuous again, I'll kill you. Xia Qiue's voice was cold and incomparably lonely. Although the azure dragon was at the 7th rank, it didn't dare to refute such a terrifying imperial prince's will. Yi Qinghan looked at Xia Qiue and Xia Ziluo from afar. He cupped his fists and said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, "I'm very sorry. My mount has frightened the azure dragon." Xia Ziluo looked at the huge god-slaying eagle and was dumbfounded. She had never heard of such a huge god-slaying eagle, and it was at the 7th rank. Now that she saw it with her own eyes, she felt like she was dreaming. "What a huge bird!" Xia Ziluo exclaimed, covering her mouth. "Ha ha ha, Master has an even bigger bird. Do you want to see?" The parrot suddenly jumped out and looked at the innocent Xia Ziluo. It couldn't help but say vulgarly, "Is there a bigger bird than this? Let it out for me to see." Xia Ziluo didn't understand what the parrot was talking about and immediately said. Xia Ziluo didn't understand, but it was impossible for Xia Qiue to not understand. Her expression immediately turned cold, and her eyes were like swords piercing through the rainbow as she stared at the parrot. The parrot's feathers bristled, and it returned to Yi Qinghan's body again, not daring to say anything. Yi Qinghan was speechless. This lowly bird was too disgusting and always caused trouble. Seeing Xia Qiue so angry, he couldn't help but smile bitterly and cup his fists. "Brother, please don't mind it. This bird is too lowly and speaks without thinking. Please don't mind it. But I want to see that bigger bird of yours. Quickly let it out for me to see. Your parrot is also very cute. I'll use a treasure to exchange for it." Xia Ziluo was rich and overbearing. She was prepared to use a supreme treasure to exchange for the parrot with Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan was speechless. First of all, that huge bird didn't exist. Moreover, no matter how big that bird was, it couldn't be compared to the god-slaying eagle. Moreover, if he gave the parrot to Xia Ziluo, the forces behind them would definitely collapse. Xia Qiue looked coldly at Yi Qinghan. She noticed that Yi Qinghan was only at the peak of the Dao Master Realm, half a step away from the Great Martial Venerable Realm. Moreover, she vaguely remembered that he introduced himself as Yi Qinghan. She couldn't help but frown and think to herself, "Is this the person that father likes? He actually has a 7th-rank god-slaying eagle. His luck is indeed tyrannical." "Are you Yi Qinghan, fellow Yi?" Xia Qiue asked cautiously. Yi Qinghan was stunned. He didn't expect that someone at this level would be worthy of his name. He immediately laughed and cried, Yes, it's really me. May I know who you two are? Xiaoqiue of the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Dynasty. Xiaoqiue replied coldly. Yi Qinghan sucked in a breath. Xiaoqiue, this genius, was one of the strongest youths of the human race. She was only at the middle level of the Immortal Gate, but she had instantly killed the shape-shifted beings of the top King Realm bloodline of the 10,000 races. She was definitely one of the most terrifying figures. He didn't expect to see her here today. So it's fellow Xia. Yi Qinghan hurriedly cupped his fists and replied. So you're that brat. This princess won't marry a rookie like you. Xia Ziluo glared at Yi Qinghan. She couldn't wait to glare at Yi Qinghan and make him fall from the sky. Then, Xia Chentian would terminate this marriage. Yi Qinghan frowned. When was he going to marry her? As the person involved, he actually didn't know. Who are you? When did Master want to marry you? Why didn't I know? Before Yi Qinghan could reply, Emperor Yi immediately rebuked coldly. Chapter 221. Emperor Ye's question was incomparably cold, more like that of an emperor. Xiaoqiue was stunned by the innate emperor's aura. When had Xia Ziluo ever been criticized like this? Moreover, Emperor Ye's attitude was so arrogant and cold, as if he was looking down on her like an ordinary person. She was instantly furious. Who are you? Where did this girl come from? How dare you be disrespectful to me? Xia Ziluo retorted coldly. The smell of gunpowder was strong between a peerless beauty and an otherworldly woman, especially when Emperor Yi felt the other party's childish face and voluptuous body, and then looked at himself. At most, he was a little sunny egg. He couldn't help but pout. Brother Xia, is this your sister? I don't have any engagement with her. What does she mean by that? Yi Qinghan didn't care about what Xia Chentian said at the time, not to mention that it was purely to rope him in. He didn't take it to heart at all. Xiaoqiue was also a little confused. Logically speaking, her father was the emperor of the human world, a peak 8th stage quasi-emperor. He shouldn't be so unreliable. Why didn't the two parties know about the engagement he set? The god-slaying eagle and azure dragon were still in a fierce confrontation, looking at each other with hatred. The god-slaying eagle's eyes were almost spewing flames. It wanted nothing more than to tear the azure dragon apart and drink its blood to evolve the power of its bloodline. Yi Qinghan directly put away his god-slaying eagle. His figure flashed, and he appeared beside Emperor Yi. He cupped his fists and said to Xiaoqiue, Qinghan indeed doesn't know about the engagement. If you have any questions, let's go down and talk. That's good. I'm also curious about you. How did you get this 7th stage god-slaying eagle? Xiaoqiue was still shocked. This was simply unprecedented. If there was a way, she might be able to evolve her azure dragon to 8th stage. Let's go down. I'm going to teach this girl a lesson. Xia Ziluo's purple aura rose as she glared at Emperor Yi. Afraid of you? I'll defeat you in one move. Emperor Ye's aura rose as he looked down at Xia Ziluo. Xiaoqiue looked at Emperor Yi indifferently. She found that his eyes were closed and his aura was extraordinary. She always felt frightened and didn't dare to have that kind of feeling. After all, Emperor Yi was only at the middle level of the Tao Master Realm. He was still far from the Immortal Gate. Whoosh, the god-slaying eagle swooped down and appeared outside Imperial Abyss City. Its speed was much faster than the azure dragon. Emperor Yi put away the god-slaying eagle and coldly waited for Xia Ziluo. He decided to teach this little woman of unknown origins a good lesson. She was too self-righteous and actually dared to despise the most important person in her heart. Yi Qinghan could feel the hostility in Emperor Ye's heart and couldn't help but bitterly smile. He placed his hand on Emperor Ye's shoulder and waited for Xia Qiue and Xia Ziluo to arrive. Groan, the azure dragon's long roar alarmed an area of 5,000 kilometers around Emperor Abyss City. It's the crown prince of the Sky Dragon's sacred dynasty, Xia Qiue, the peerless emperor's son. He actually appeared. Let's go and take a look. He doesn't have a single follower until now. I might have a chance. The one beside him seems to be Zixian, Princess Xia Ziluo. Emperor Abyss City was in an uproar. The younger generation appeared outside Emperor Abyss City, and even many hunters came. Nangong Shen, Lin Aoqiong, and the others also came. After all, the azure dragon's roar was enough to alarm existences like them. What wind has blown Brother Xia here? Princess Zixian is also here. Looks like Emperor Abyss City is going to be lively. Nangong Shen cupped his fists and said. Xia Qiue nodded indifferently and didn't say another word. Lin Aoqiong, Dugu Baitian, and the others narrowed their eyes and looked at Xia Qiue. Their eyes were filled with fighting spirit. They were younger than Xia Qiue, so their cultivation levels were naturally a little lower. However, Emperor's Sun-level existences depended on their combat strength and not their cultivation levels. Xia Qiue ignored everyone and looked at Yi Qinghan. She said in a low voice, "You really don't know about the marriage between you and my younger sister? Brother Xia, I really don't know about this. Before this, I've never seen your younger sister. I've only heard of her beautiful name. How could there be a marriage agreement? I wonder where you got the news?" Yi Qinghan frowned and asked in return. Xia Ziluo, stop dreaming. My master won't marry you. You don't have a chance. Emperor Yi said bluntly. His tone was firm and contained an absolute will. Xia Ziluo was furious. She looked coldly at Emperor Yi and carefully sized him up. She found that only his face could surpass hers. As for his figure, it was inferior to hers in every aspect. She couldn't help but smile and say mockingly, "You little brat who's still wet behind the ears. You haven't come of age yet, right? What does it have to do with you whether I marry your master or not? Besides, just because of what you said, I'll marry him. Hurry up and call me master's wife. Otherwise, I'll expel you from my sect. Childish woman. Big breasts and no brains. It's better than you with no breasts. Little brat. My face is prettier than yours." Although the quarrel between the two girls wasn't vulgar, it was enough to make everyone break out in a cold sweat. Xia Qiue and Yi Qinghan trembled and hurriedly stopped the two. However, Emperor Yi and Xia Ziluo were still arguing. They didn't listen to them at all and continued to glare angrily. When the parrot saw that there was a quarrel, it immediately jumped out and said to Emperor Yi, "Hey, little master, do you need my help? Shut up. It's already chaotic enough." Do you want the world to become chaotic? Yi Qinghan scolded unhappily. The parrot shook its head innocently. It was quite helpless. Quarreling was its specialty. It could even anger people to death without paying for it. Lady Xia, don't joke about the marriage agreement. Besides, you and I don't know each other. I don't have any intention of marrying for the time being. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. He didn't want to be entangled and prepared to leave. You look down on this princess. This princess is 18 years old and as beautiful as a flower. I belong to an immortal sect and have the bloodline of an emperor. My battle prowess is unparalleled. I'm worthy of any emperor-level man. Even I don't despise you. You don't have the right to speak. Xia Ziluo was incomparably domineering as she glared at Yi Qinghan. My master has the right to despise any woman in the world, including a condescending little woman like you. What's there to be arrogant about? As beautiful as a flower, belong to an immortal sect, and have unparalleled battle prowess? It's already good enough that you can beat me. Emperor Yi said disdainfully. Ah, you stinking girl. You're infuriating me to death. Xia Ziluo was incomparably furious. Her peerlessly beautiful face changed a bit. She glared at the crowd and said, "All of you scram. I'm going to teach this ungrateful little girl a lesson today." "Alright. Stop fooling around. Princess Zixian, you're an emperor of an immortal sect. It's not appropriate for you to bully a junior." Yi Qinghan was somewhat dissatisfied. He was very clear about the battle prowess of an emperor's daughter. Even if he faced Xia Ziluo, he might not be able to win. He might even lose miserably. How could he let Emperor Yi take the risk? "How dare you yell at me? Yi Qinghan, how dare you yell at me?" Xia Ziluo was even more furious. Purple qi surged all over her body, shaking the heavens and earth. Xia Qiwen knew her younger sister best. She had been pampered and spoiled for a long time. Even she didn't want to anger her. Moreover, her battle prowess was indeed somewhat terrifying. Once she lost control, she could definitely overturn the heavens. Seeing that she was on the verge of exploding, she hurriedly pressed down on her shoulder and said in a low voice, "This might be a misunderstanding. You'd better ask Father first whether or not this is true. Even if this isn't true, now that I've been bullied, I should get my face back. If you're not going to help me, then go away. I'm going to teach this hateful little girl a lesson." "You think I'm afraid of you? Even if you're ranked in the immortal sect, I can still kill you instantly." Emperor Yi and Xia Ziluo were completely at loggerheads. Neither of them was willing to back down. Their battle intent soared, and they couldn't control it at all. Nangong Shen, Lin Aoqiong, and the others looked at each other. They knew Emperor Ye's battle prowess, but Zixian and Xia Ziluo's battle prowess couldn't be underestimated either. If they really fought, they wouldn't be able to control it at all. It would probably alarm a boundary emperor. They couldn't help but hurriedly stand in the middle to mediate. "Everyone, calm down. Your battle prowess is too terrifying. Don't make a scene. If there's any death or injury, it'll definitely be a loss for the human race," Nangongshan said in a low voice. Xia Ziluo looked down on Emperor Yi. After all, the difference between their realms was too great. Seeing that everyone was mediating the fight, she thought that they all wanted to help Emperor Yi. She was extremely angry. "Get out of the way. Today, I'll let her know what unparalleled battle prowess is, so that she won't be arrogant in the future." Emperor Yi waved his hand, and a divine guqin appeared in his hand. His eyes moved, and he was about to open them. Nangong Shen's spine was drenched in cold sweat. Those eyes weren't something that a human could see. If they stared at his back, they would definitely pierce through his body. Xia Qiue didn't understand why Emperor Yi was so confident. After all, their realms were so low. Moreover, Nangong Shen and the others all had the battle prowess of an imperial prince. Why were they trembling all over? They were clearly very nervous, as if they were afraid that Emperor Yi would suddenly attack. "All of you, get out of the way. Let them fight. One move will decide the victor. No one is allowed to attack a second time," Xia Qiue said in a low voice. Yi Qinghan frowned slightly. He looked at Emperor Yi and thought to himself, "If my son goes all out, blocking a few moves shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem. Moreover, she has a 5-star killing robe in her body. Even if she loses, her life won't be in danger." Thinking of this, Yi Qinghan said to Emperor Yi, "Be careful. After one move, don't attack again. We're all humans. We shouldn't waste our strength on infighting." Xia Qiue also looked at Xia Ziluo and said seriously, "Ziluo, she's a junior. Don't go too far. Otherwise, it won't be an honorable victory." Xia Ziluo curled her lips. She thought that it would be enough to casually suppress Emperor Yi. She didn't even think about hurting her. Yi Qinghan's fingertips trembled slightly. He was ready to attack at any time. After all, he had never truly fought with a crown prince or princess before. How strong they were was still unknown. Everyone dispersed, sighing and shaking their heads. They felt that Emperor Yi would lose without a doubt. Moreover, he wouldn't be able to resist at all. After all, with such a huge difference in cultivation level, even a crown prince would have to expend a lot of effort to fight against an ordinary immortal sect expert. In the end, he would still lose, not to mention Xia Ziluo, who was known as Zixian. I think one move will be enough. This Emperor Yi is really bold. He actually dares to challenge Princess Zixian. What do you know? You haven't seen Emperor Yi in action before. Once she attacks, it will definitely shake the heavens and earth. All living beings will tremble. That's right. We were in the same ancient space as Emperor Yi. We know her battle strength. Even if she loses, it won't be too bad. The geniuses who were in the same space as Emperor Yi spoke up for Emperor Yi. They didn't think that the loss would be too bad. Emperor Yi hugged the divine Guqin. Suddenly, a pair of golden wings spread out from his back and merged with the god-slaying eagle armor. His aura suppressed the heavens. Hundreds of people around him were sent flying. Chapter 222. Emperor Yi hugged the divine Guqin. A pair of golden wings suddenly spread out from his back, merging with the god-slaying eagle armor. His aura suppressed the heavens and sent hundreds of people flying. The giant golden wings covered time and space. Her jade-like fingers glowed with golden light. Seventh-tier claws and jade-like finger armor made her hands glow with endless golden light. It was enough to destroy immortal sect weapons. Purple chi poured down from the Milky Way, bathing Xia Ziluo in it. She was like an immortal descending. All the spiritual chi in the Milky Way was sucked away by her. Not a bit of spiritual chi could be felt within 100 miles. Xia Ziluo was looking down on everyone. Even Xia Qiue kept retreating, her expression ugly. Yi Qinghan shone with golden light and retreated 100 meters. He didn't want to retreat any further, fearing that something bad would happen to Emperor Yi. Xia Ziluo was indeed too powerful. She definitely didn't just have the bloodline of an empress. She probably had a special constitution, the immortal spirit body. Otherwise, she couldn't have sucked away all the spiritual chi within 100 miles. Boom! Emperor Yi opened his eyes and broke through the space in front of him. He used the space laws and arrived in a flash. Even a wisp of his light was unbearable. They all retreated. The great Tao of destruction descended, wanting to destroy 10,000 miles of space and time. The black light was almost tangible, causing Xia Qiue's pupils to shrink. Xia Ziluo was surrounded by purple chi. It kept spinning and actually blocked the light of destruction, but it was quickly consumed, causing her to turn pale with fright. Her jade-like fingers kept forming seals, and her body emitted runes. Her aura was vast and mighty, shaking thousands of miles and repelling the light of destruction. Buzz! The sound of the Guqin surged, and a murderous aura enveloped the mountains and rivers. It was as if a supreme killing god had come from the primordial world, wanting to destroy the endless universe. Even from 100 miles away, one could hear it clearly. Immediately, one's hair stood on end and one's Tao heart was in chaos. Whoosh, 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 millions of sound blades tore through the void and charged toward Xia Ziluo. They collided with the runes and shattered continuously. The runes enveloped Xia Ziluo and continued to extend toward Renhuang Yi. They were like imperial weapons that could shatter all mortal weapons. This is the divine martial formation pattern. Yi Qinghan was shocked. Xia Ziluo was only a mid-tier immortal sect. How could she control the divine martial formation pattern? As expected of Zixian's empress. Is she going to become the first empress of all time? Of destruction. He's definitely not inferior to the crown prince. Everyone gasped. They were stunned by Xia Ziluo's combat strength. They knew that Xia Ziluo was very strong, but they didn't expect her to be so strong. Emperor Ye's sound blade crumbled inch by inch as it smashed into the cymbals, producing a deafening rumbling sound. Even the great Tao of the heavens was rumbling. All methods ceased to exist as the source was swept away. The light of destruction was like a drill, colliding with the runes and continuously drilling inside. The experts in the surroundings were bleeding from their 7 apertures, and they no longer dared to resist. Yi Qinghan went all out, shielded his ears, and retreated 200 meters away. He narrowed his eyes and observed the battlefield. Only then did Xia Qiyu understand that it was normal for Nangong Shen and the others to be worried. With Emperor Ye's battle prowess, an ordinary immortal gate would have been pierced through long ago. Buzz, 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 strands of Guqin music transformed into divine weapons that shattered the shackles. The Guqin rumbled, causing strange phenomena to appear in the heavens. Azure dragons coiled in the sky and colorful phoenixes descended to protect Emperor Yi. He reached out his hand and glared at Xia Ziluo. Whoosh! With a flap of his wings, Emperor Yi was about to attack. His figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. The void was distorted and the heavens trembled. The purple light pouring down from the 9 heavens was disrupted. Without the great Tao's law, the power of the symbols was greatly reduced. The Guqin blocked the source of all methods. Humph! Little girl, you're quite capable. But if you want to defeat me with this kind of battle prowess, you're gravely mistaken. Today I'll show you what true strength is. Xia Ziluo's slender arms shattered the air and grabbed at the void. 2 huge spiritual energy dragons formed in the sky with her as the center. They spun continuously, forming a yin-yang diagram formed by spiritual energy. The pressure shook the mountains and rivers. Even Lin Aoqiong and the others of the same level felt the pressure. Ziluo, stop! Xia Qiyu was shocked. She didn't expect that a verbal battle would cause her to go all out. A battle to the death? Do you think I'm afraid of you? This was the first time Emperor Yi was so powerful. He formed a seal with his palms, and divine light shot out from his body. The golden body turned into a huge divine Guqin, and tens of thousands of small divine Gyukins radiated out. The 9 strings automatically pulled back as if they were going to shoot out a divine arrow that could shatter the heavens and intimidate everyone. At this point, even the emperor-level existences recognized Emperor Ye's physique. They couldn't help but be shocked. They sucked in a breath of cold air and retreated one after another. My son, stop! Yi Qinghan frowned. His figure flashed and blocked Emperor Ye's path. Emperor Yi closed his eyes, afraid that he would hurt Yi Qinghan. The destructive aura dispersed, but the divine Guqin was even fiercer. Xia Qiyu didn't dare to let the 2 of them continue fighting. Otherwise, someone would definitely die. She rushed in front of Xia Ziluo and coldly looked at her. She said in a deep voice, "Nonsense. Do you think we're fighting against 10,000 races? My son, disperse your power. You're not allowed to fight." Yi Qinghan's eyes shot out willpower to suppress Emperor Yi. Emperor Yi didn't want to go against his will. He dispersed his aura without hesitation, and the divine Guqin dissipated, revealing a pale face. She was exhausted. Her cultivation realm was too low, so it wasn't that easy for her to transform into a divine Guqin. Since you're afraid I'll hurt you, then let's fight using theory. Xia Ziluo was unwilling. She had the bloodline of an empress and the purple light immortal spiritual body. She could control spiritual qi within 100 li, yet she couldn't immediately defeat Emperor Yi. This made her a bit angry. Bring it on. I'm not afraid of you. Emperor Yi was even more unwilling to admit defeat. Being provoked by Xia Ziluo like this, he seemed to have lost his divine might. My yin-yang unification can break all laws and heavenly laws. My golden body divine Guqin can turn the sound of the Guqin into a heavenly arrow that can directly pierce through your body. What a joke. I have the purple light immortal spiritual body, and can borrow the chaotic purple chi to control spiritual chi within 1,000 li and suppress the heavens. No matter how great your battle prowess is, how can you fight without the support of true essence? You're the one who's a joke. I have the zither immortal crimson demon body, and the physique of a barbaric human emperor. What shackles can't I tear apart? With your strength and our cultivation realms, it won't be a problem for me to kill you in an instant. The two women opposed each other with equal harshness. They were definitely the two most powerful women in the boundless universe, dragons and phoenixes among women. They were existences that could kill everything in an instant. Neither of them was willing to back down. Their words made everyone blush with shame, and the Emperor's son collapsed. Emperor Yi and Xia Ziluo were both angry, and it looked like they were about to lose control again. Even someone as cold and taciturn as Dugu Baitian couldn't stand it any longer. He advised, "Since you want to fight, why don't we change the method? Find the royal family of 10,000 races or a top-level transformation king-level expert and see who wins faster. That's the best way. Cough, cough, you're both heroes among women. Why don't we all take a step back and shake hands and make peace?" Xiao Yuni smiled bitterly. Both women were monsters, and he didn't dare offend either of them. "Humph, childish woman. I'm not interested in talking to her." Emperor Yi snorted and walked behind Yi Qinghan, unwilling to say anything more. Xia Ziluo was burning with anger, but she was an emperor's daughter after all. She quickly calmed down and said disdainfully, "You look like a door plank. You haven't even grown out your baby teeth yet, have you? Bickering with you will really damage my status as an emperor's daughter." Emperor Ye's mouth twitched. It wasn't his fault that his chest was small. It had actually become an excuse for others to attack him. He pouted and wanted to retort, but he didn't know how to. "You're big, your whole family is big, okay? The young master is an emperor, so he can't be bothered to bicker with you. Don't push your luck." The parrot's sudden words almost angered Xiaqiu. An ominous glint flashed, and it was as if a sharp sword had pierced through the heavens. It was so frightened that it once again hid behind Yi Qinghan and looked smugly at Emperor Yi. Emperor Yi laughed heartily for the first time. Fortunately, he was hiding behind Yi Qinghan. Otherwise, he would have charmed the hearts of all the heroes in the sky. The parrot, this wretched bird, knew to help her at the crucial moment and didn't bicker with her. It was still worthy of praise. She reprimanded, "At least you know your place." Of course, when did this divine bird side with outsiders? The parrot smiled smugly. Yi Qinghan was speechless. Every time the parrot came out, it would mess things up. Sigh, when the younger generation caused trouble, he had to clean up after them. "Brother Xia, don't take it to heart. This wretched bird has such a temper and speaks without thinking. I'll teach it a lesson later." Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. "Humph! This wretched bird indeed needs to be taught a lesson. Don't give me a chance, or I'll roast it and eat it." Xia Ziluo was furious. She wanted nothing more than to drag the parrot out and give it a good beating. The parrot trembled, and didn't dare to speak again. A ray of sword light illuminated the heavens, breaking the awkwardness outside Emperor Abyss City. Everyone suddenly turned around and looked into the distance. They saw a ray of sword light shoot out from the hunter's territory, instantly killing its way out of the Imperial region and charging into the endless universe. Wherever it passed, the void would shatter. It was as if an emperor's sword had slashed out, and its momentum was like a rainbow. Gu Qingyu's solitary sword Dao. Nangong Shun, Lin Aoqiong, and the others were stunned. Then they were shocked. Gu Qingyu's previous battle prowess was at most a bit stronger than a region's battle king. This sword was already comparable to the battle prowess of an emperor's son. It was even fiercer and colder. Boom! In Yi Qinghan's residence, a huge palace was actually shattered. More than 10 figures shot out from inside, all of their auras soaring into the sky. They were all undergoing qualitative changes. Xiaoqiue couldn't help but turn to look into the distance. So many powerful experts had appeared at the same time, and all of them were not inferior to the direct disciples of superfactions. 4 or 5 of them were actually comparable to the chief disciples of superfactions. Even if they weren't emperor's sons, they weren't inferior to them. Li Jiu's improvement speed was the fastest. Originally, he had missed the best time to cultivate because of his old age. Now, his physique and bloodline had been changed by the bloody corpse Lingji, becoming incomparably terrifying. His extraordinary willpower allowed him to surpass others, almost catching up to Gu Qingyu and Muyo Tianqian. His body actually produced a trace of emperor's might. Although it was faint, it was very obvious. Huang Xiaohu's improvement wasn't bad either. He was far in the lead. In the younger generation, he was only inferior to Li Jiu and Stan Wuxia, who had the emperor's physique. Shi Guo and Feng Wuxia had undergone qualitative changes. The invincible aura these years had benefited them greatly. Otherwise, the bloody corpse Lingji alone wouldn't have allowed them to reach the level of a superfaction's chief disciples. Nangong Qingyue's immortal sect robes fluttered gracefully as she followed behind Muyo Tianqian. Her battle prowess was no longer inferior to the others, and her face was full of pride. Nangong Xiaobei was as handsome as jade. He followed everyone outside Emperor Abyss City and arrived behind Yi Qinghan. Nangong Shen was shocked speechless. These people's battle prowess wasn't like this a few days ago. What kind of supreme treasure did they eat? They actually reached this step today. Xiaoqiue looked at this group of people. She was also frightened by this combination. An existence like Gu Qingyu was completely qualified to be her follower. He had 2 or 3 existences with similar battle prowess. What was even more strange was that there was actually a little fellow who was a mortal. Chapter 223. Taiwa rode on Li Jiucheng's neck and hugged his head with both hands. His innocent eyes were bright. Little Li had already grown up into a big boy. He had entered the Tao sovereign realm at the age of 10 and had a strong will to cultivate the great Tao. Seeing the group improve so quickly, Yi Qinghan was very satisfied. The Supreme Saint medicine was indeed extraordinary. "Are you okay?" Gu Qingyu, Muyu Tianqian, and the others surrounded Xiaoqiue and the others. "It's fine. It's just a misunderstanding. Don't worry." Yi Qinghan explained repeatedly, afraid that the situation would get worse. The tense atmosphere dissipated. Other than Xia Ziluo and Emperor Yi Qinghan and Xiaoqiue didn't have any hostility. Everyone thought that this was a farce between little girls and didn't take it to heart. Just as the elites were gathering, Guiqinzi crossed mountains and rivers from the Forbidden Grounds, continuously using the spatial laws to appear in the imperial region. When he passed by Emperor Abyss City, he discovered this group of juniors who were full of vitality. His eyes flashed with killing intent. If I can devour the vitality of these juniors, I might borrow another 1,000 years from the heavens. My peak strength will appear again. Guiqinzi muttered as he looked at the people in front of Imperial Abyss City. Obviously, Yi Qinghan and the others couldn't discover an existence like Guiqinzi at all. They couldn't sense the current danger. Yi Qinghan and the others couldn't sense it, but it didn't mean that existences like Emperor Shang couldn't. Unfortunately, they were a bit too late. Boom! Guiqinzi made his move. He directly broke through time and space and appeared in Imperial Abyss City. A huge hand that covered the sky grabbed at Xiaoqiue, Yi Qinghan, and the others. It was as if time and space were frozen. Everyone was powerless to resist and was instantly terrified. "Ah!" Xiaoqiue roared angrily. Her cold sword split the sky, wanting to break free. Unfortunately, the difference in cultivation level was too great. She couldn't launch an attack even if she joined forces with Nangong Shen and the others. Children, become the vitality of this emperor. I will lead you to become a supreme existence and let you witness the power of the Tao. A hoarse and sharp voice filled Imperial Abyss City. He wasn't afraid of exposing his identity at all. He was prepared to capture these young princes and princesses and leave. Even if the other sub-emperors noticed, they couldn't do anything to him. How dare you, thief! Di Shang and the others were enraged. More than 10 boundary emperors attacked at the same time, cutting off the space in Emperor Abyss City to prevent Guichenzi from bringing these elites with him. Ha ha ha, follow me. The space that Guichenzi tore apart seemed to grab everyone's hearts. Yi Qinghan could not resist at all. He raised his hand and was about to take away everyone's vitality. Boom! As soon as the aura of death touched Emperor Yi, Si Wuxie, and Tai Hua's bodies, the 5-star killing robes, radiant mountains and rivers, and the terrifying array inside killed Guichenzi instead. Emperor formation. Di Shang had actually set up an emperor-level array within his robe. Although it was only at the quasi-emperor level, it would not be a problem for him to block Guichenzi for a single step. Guichenzi was shocked. He did not expect the monarch formation to counterattack. He hurriedly let go and shattered the formation. Tai Hua's eyes flashed as he glared at Guichenzi, but he did not explode. Defend! Xiaoqiue was worthy of being an emperor. Moreover, she had lived for a long time and was extremely calm. She instantly erupted with her strongest battle strength. Even if she was not Guichenzi's opponent, she could delay him for a moment and allow the elders to rush over. Boom! Thousands of people attacked at the same time, shattering the void in front of them, hoping to delay Guichenzi for a breath of time. At this moment, Di Shang and the others appeared in front of everyone. Killing intent shot out as they stared at Guichenzi. Guichenzi, you traitor, how dare you appear in the central territory of the human race? Di Shang was extremely angry as he questioned coldly. Why are you talking nonsense with him? Attack together. I don't believe he still has the battle strength of a quasi-emperor. The emperors were furious and wanted to attack. Kakik, you bunch of juniors. I'm only a small step away from attaining my Tao. Of course, I'm not willing to die. Get out of the way and let me devour the life essence of these juniors. If I attain my Tao, the human race will definitely be glorious. Guichenzi's laughter was extremely mournful. His eyes released a sinister light, and he was not afraid of them at all. You traitor, you won't even let go of your own disciple. You stole his quasi-emperor body and betrayed the human race. You will be despised by all. Even if you attain your Tao, you will not think for the human race. The heavens will not let you attain your Tao. Just give up. Di Shang angrily scolded as his battle strength erupted. He was extremely vigilant. Guichenzi was a quasi-emperor when he was alive. He was only half a step away from becoming a true emperor. His battle strength was unparalleled. Even if he faced many quasi-emperors, he was not afraid. Di Shang and the others did not want to fight him in Emperor Abyss City. Otherwise, the imperial region would be plunged into misery and suffering. Tai Hua angrily glared at Guichenzi. He was extremely disgusted by the aura of the dead spirits. However, in his current state, he could only deal with the souls of the dead spirits. Once they had a body, he would not be able to do anything. What do you know? For the glory of the human race, there is nothing that cannot be sacrificed. My disciple is willing to become one with me. I will bring his body to attaining my Tao and let his body be eternal in this world. His body will lead the human race to glory. Guichenzi was furious, as if others could not understand his lofty ideals. You are truly disgusting, daring to say anything. These years, in order to prolong your life, you have slaughtered countless humans. Regardless of whether you can attain your Tao or not, you are still a sinner of the human race. Countless vengeful spirits will have an explanation. Xia Chintian angrily glared at Guichenzi. He was already on the verge of exploding. How can juniors like you understand the ambitions of a great swan? What I want to do now is to bring these juniors and let them become one with me, helping me reach the peak of battle strength. Then, I will borrow the great Emperor battle physique to transcend the supreme Emperor tribulation and achieve supreme glory. If you don't want more people to die, then scram. Guichenzi threatened in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan and the others felt their hair stand on end. They angrily glared at Guichenzi. Seeing that the death aura around him caused all life within a radius of 100 miles to disappear, they knew that this damned thing should have died long ago but was forcefully staying in the human world through special means. It must be the dead spirits of the forbidden area. Their hearts felt even heavier. Any one of them that jumped out of the forbidden area was a supreme existence. No wonder the human race had always been weak. Gulp. 3 stairs appeared in front of Emperor Abyss City. The first row was for powerful boundary emperors like Di Shang. The second row was for powerful young imperial princes like Yi Qinghan. The third row was for thousands of powerful young experts. At this moment, all of them were furious. They only hated that their cultivation was too low and could not kill the dead spirits on the spot. There was no other way. The dead spirits were too strong. The human race could only passively defend. Everyone was sullen. Guichenzi, you better leave the imperial domain immediately. Otherwise, don't blame us for activating the 9 emperors, killing formation, and killing you. Di Shang warned coldly. The 9 emperors killing formation was the strongest killing formation of the ancient killing god. It was a true great emperor killing formation. It could kill any boundary emperor. Even perfection boundary experts could not resist. However, the price of activating the killing formation was also terrifying. It needed to consume a large amount of the boundary emperor's life force. Di Shang was obviously unwilling to consume a large amount of life force for a dead spirit. The human race could not afford it either. Is that so? What if I insist on the Emperor corpse and these juniors? Guichenzi was unwilling to retreat. Since he had come, he must succeed. Then let's fight to the death. These juniors are the hope of the human race. You can't have them. Di Shang coldly rejected. Guichenzi's lips curled up. Death energy spread out. All the trees within 100 miles withered and birds died. Even the laws of time were frozen. From this, one could see how powerful he was. His eyes swept over Yi Qinghan and the others as if he could see through their origins. Guichenzi was even more unwilling to let go. Especially when he saw Yi Qinghan's metal origin Dao body and Si Wuxie's golden bloodline, he was overjoyed. Kakik, the heavens have not forsaken me. Guichenzi laughed sinisterly. He pointed at Yi Qinghan and Si Wuxie and said domineeringly, as long as you give me the metal origin Dao body and golden bloodline, I will immediately retreat. Moreover, 100 years later, I will definitely appear as a great emperor and help the human race walk the path of recovery. Everyone's faces darkened. They did not expect Guichenzi to be so difficult to deal with. If it was any other dead spirit that was threatened, they would have retreated long ago. However, he was not afraid at all. Yi Qinghan's hair stood on end. He was incomparably furious. His 7 feet heavy berserk activated his origin Dao body. His blood energy burned. He wanted nothing more than to rush up and kill Guichenzi. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Guichenzi, it seems like you want to completely break off relations with the human race. Then, just wait for the 9 emperors killing formation to open. Emperor Killer erupted. His emperor's aura was vast and mighty. A true great emperor's aura rose from the ancient god of massacre's territory and suppressed the heavens. Guichenzi was shocked. He did not expect Emperor Killer to be so decisive. He immediately berated, "Emperor Killer, I only want 2 lives in exchange for the lives of countless people in the Imperial region. You won't even trade? Do you think I will let you surround me with the 9 Emperors killing formation? When I was researching the 9 Emperors killing formation, you were not even born yet. I won't trade. The human race will never compromise with a traitor. Even if we die 1,000,000 miles away, we will never regret it. Kill. We will never compromise with a traitor." Zhang Yunxiao and the others' fighting spirit soared. Their blood energy burned, and they wanted to fight to the death. "Kaki, what if I join in? Can the human race stop me?" An ethereal voice enveloped the Imperial region. The death chi became even thicker. The entire Imperial region was filled with death chi. Yi Qinghan and the others' hair stood on end. They looked into the void in shock, but they could not find the other party's existence at all. Emperor Killer and the others' expressions became even more unsightly. Their eyes pierced through the void and found a terrifying existence standing outside the Imperial region. The death chi was so thick that it was tangible. Its history was even longer than Guichenzi's. Lightning. It's him. Lightning was known for his speed. Not many people remembered his real name, but everyone knew his nickname, Lightning. "I won't enter the Imperial region. Your 9 Emperors killing formation can't do anything to me. I advise you humans to be tactful. Guichenzi wants the 2 juniors, but I want the great Emperor corpse." Lightning's eyes pierced through the void, and his voice spread to Emperor Abyss City. The undead spirits were strong. They completely treated the human race as prey. They could burn, kill, and plunder with a single thought. Aggrieved. Yi Qinghan was really aggrieved, but their strength was too weak. They could not compete with these sub-emperors at all. "You have no room to refute. Choose the great emperor corpse and the lives of the 2 juniors, or choose all the living beings in the Imperial region. Choose one. There is no third choice." Lightning said coldly. "Ha ha ha, Lightning, if you and I cooperate, we will definitely succeed. I don't believe that these stubborn bastards will still dare to be tough." Guichenzi took a step back. He looked at Yi Qinghan and Si Wuxia cruelly as if he was looking at food. Chapter 224. The 2 terrifying undead spirits working together could suppress many boundary emperors. After all, the countless living beings in the sovereign region were their greatest weakness. Once a battle broke out, there would definitely be countless casualties. The human race had always been on the defensive. Unless a great emperor appeared, they could counterattack and beat the undead spirits until they couldn't make a comeback in a short period of time. Once the great emperor's lifespan arrived, most of them would kill their way into the Forbidden Land and wantonly slaughter them. They would kill until they couldn't make a comeback for thousands of years, giving the human race the greatest amount of time. Unfortunately, it had been 5,000 years, and the human race still hadn't produced a great emperor. The undead spirits were strong and treated humans as food. The human race was already on the verge of becoming slaves. They had become creatures reared by the 10,000 races and were at the mercy of others. The boundary emperors of the 10,000 races dared to break through the space of the ancient massacre god's territory and kill the elite. If the human race had a great emperor, no one would dare to do so. Now, the 2 undead spirits working together dared to snatch the great emperor's corpse and human elite. It could be seen how strong the other party was. Yi Qinghan broke out in cold sweat and flames burned in his eyes. Death, he had already died once. Even if he self-destructed again, he wouldn't let Guichenzi succeed. I will give you 15 minutes to consider whether you want the sovereign region's trillions of living beings or the great emperor's corpse and 2 juniors. Lightning coldly stood outside the sovereign region. The emperor's robe rippled and death chi erupted, suppressing the heavens into silence. The experts of the 10,000 races descended and watched coldly as the human race was humiliated. They also wanted a share of the pie. The aura of death enveloped Yi Qinghan and Si Wuxia. At this moment there was no solution. The origin of metal was tempting even to great emperors. It was the best treasure to block death chi. The golden bloodline was the mortal enemy of the undead spirits. The undead spirits would never let it go. Everyone looked at Yi Qinghan, hoping that he would create another terrifying item to intimidate these damn things. Are there any more treasures? Nangong Shen looked at Yi Qinghan with anticipation, hoping for a miracle. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly and shook his head. Apart from the great emperor, who else could intimidate these existences? Even if Tai Hua had the great emperor Dao fruit, he couldn't make a move for now. He could only deal with the souls of the undead spirit. Emperor Yi held onto Yi Qinghan's large hand, his entire body trembling, unwilling to let go. Si Wuxia's blonde hair flew behind him. His bloodline was fully activated as he glared at Gui Chenzi. Unfortunately, his cultivation level was too low. Even if he was their natural enemy, he could not hurt them at all. Golden bloodline, origin Dao body, you 2 juniors can choose for yourselves. As quasi-emperors, they obviously can't bring themselves to compromise. Gui Chenzi had a sinister smile on his face. His smile was chilling. Qinghan Wuxia, back off. No one in the human race is afraid of death. Di Shang roared, unwilling to back off. I won't regret it even if I die. Hunter and the ancient massacre god rushed out of their territory, rushing toward Emperor Abyss City. Even though they knew that they would die, they were still unwilling to cower. Ha ha! A bunch of ignorant humans. Other than courting death, what else could he do? If you don't know how to make a choice, how can you establish yourself in the endless universe? Lightning sneered, looking down on all living beings. Does letting you kill me mean I know how to make a choice? What do you think the human race is? Food? Do you think I'll let you do whatever you want? Di Shang shouted angrily. That's right. Even if billions of living beings are sacrificed today, you won't be able to escape death. The 9 Thearchs killing formation can kill Gui Chenzi. Do you think we can't kill you with more than 10 quasi-emperors? Zhang Yunxiao angrily rebuked Lightning. If it weren't for the fact that Lightning was too fast and couldn't be killed, he would have already chased after it and fought it. Ha ha ha, we can talk about it if you can catch me. If you provoke me, I will definitely destroy countless vital planets. I won't feel any heartache no matter how many of these ants die. I don't know if you feel any heartache or not. Lightning threatened coldly. You! The quasi-emperors were seething with anger, but they couldn't do anything to Lightning. I also want a share of the profits. One of you wants the Tharch corpse, the other wants the golden bloodline and the metal origin Dao body. I want the Hanlong star field. I will give you 1 year to move the human race out of here. Otherwise, I will let my children attack and slaughter without mercy, leaving no one alive. The great demonic beasts of the 10,000 races opened their mouths wide, taking advantage of the situation to rob a huge star field. No one knew what this demonic race quasi-emperor had evolved from or how powerful its true form was. Even Di Shang did not know. All he knew was that this demonic race quasi-emperor had been a quasi-emperor for more than 4,000 years, even longer than him. Dream on. Every inch of the human race's territory is stained with the blood of our ancestors. We will not budge an inch. Ba Songtian's tyrannical blood surged, shattering the void. Then you must be prepared to die. The human race has no Tharch. Let's see if you can withstand the combined forces of the Forbidden Land and the 10,000 races. the great demonic beast sneered. It was not in a hurry at all. The human race had no choice but to compromise. The previous emperor once said that an inch of land, an inch of blood, 1,000,000 soldiers of the human race. The human race has been able to survive until now because of unity. Even if you join forces, the human race will only die standing, not kneel to live. Take out the God-killing order. Command the heavens and unite the endless universe. Di Shang roared, his emperor aura erupting. He had decided to fight to the death. Take out the god of war order and request the war division to revive. Zhang Yunxiao's roar shook the mountains and rivers. A terrifying battle intent erupted from the Zhan family's Dao realm cultivators, rushing out of the clouds and facing Emperor Abyss City from afar. Heavenly Dragon Army, heed my command. Seal the space of the sovereign domain. We will not retreat even if we die. Xia Chentian's Emperor Aura erupted, commanding the Heavenly Dragon Sacred Dynasty. No one wanted to retreat, and no one would retreat. Supreme Heavenly Tao, please command the laws of time to burn, let the endless universe move forward faster, and take away all filth. The supreme existence of the Tianji sect had white hair. He reached out his palms to the sky, using his last vitality to display the glory of the Tianji sect. Activate the 9 Thearchs killing formation. Let's leave these two trash in the human race today. To comfort the people, their deaths must be accompanied by the boundary emperors. Are you crazy? For a Tharch corpse and 2 juniors, you want to fight to the death with the Forbidden Land and the 10,000 races? Are you not waiting for the birth of the Tharch of the human race? Lightning stepped into the sovereign domain and warned in a deep voice. Let's see how strong the human race is. The 10,000 races will not only have one great demonic beast boundary emperor. Whoosh! The void was shrouded in darkness. Another 4 powerful great demonic beast boundary emperors emerged from the 10,000 races. Their battle strength was terrifying, and their will could control the laws of the great Tao. TSK, do you think the divine martial emperor is still in the human world? If he was, we would not dare to come to the human race's territory in the endless universe. Unfortunately, he has been Tao assimilated for more than 5,000 years. If it were not for the fact that we do not have a body, we would have killed our way into the endless universe. Since you want to fight today, we can seize a few great demonic beast boundary emperors' bodies. Boom! The space of the sovereign domain was torn apart, and more than 10 horrifying dead spirits appeared. Death chi filled the air, and the entire sovereign domain became a living hell. Some of the weaker creatures had their vitality sucked away and died on the spot. The Divine Martial Emperor was the author of the Divine Martial Imperial Codex. He was extremely powerful, and was called the Divine Marshal by the 10,000 races. The 10,000 races were in awe of him, and no one dared to blaspheme him. He had protected the human race for 20,000 years, and was the longest living existence of the human race. Di Shang and the others turned pale. This was the trend of the 2 great forces forcing the human race. However, if they did not fight today, the 10,000 races and the dead spirits would take a mile after taking an inch. In the future, the human race would lose all freedom. Buzz! The buried emperor chant suddenly roared, and a murderous aura shrouded the mountains and rivers. The melody was vast and mighty, and the void was filled with songs and iron horses. It was as if the barbaric era had arrived, and the great emperor had personally appeared, shattering a domain with a single hand. Corpses fell one after another, and the endless universe was dyed red. The surging melody made everyone's blood boil, and the morale of the human race soared. The buried emperor chant. Didn't it disappear for countless years? This little girl actually has the physique of a human sovereign. Guichen eyes were like torches as he stared at Emperor Yi. Boom, boom, boom. Hum, 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 the sound of the guqin became more and more frantic, and the murderous aura was so dense that it was tangible. The Tao hearts of the heroes were excited, as if they could see the arrival of the great emperor of the human race. The aura made the 10,000 races and the dead spirits' hair stand on end. They stared at Emperor Yi with murderous intent. Armor. Combine. Emperor Yi fought with all his might. Blood splattered from his 10 fingers as he combined with the god-slaying eagle. His slender fingers shone with golden light, and the huge wings on his back spread out, shaking the space and time. You want to touch my master? You are not worthy. Emperor Yi opened his eyes, and the great Tao of destruction pierced through the galaxy. He looked at the dead spirit coldly, and the dead spirit was so scared that he gasped, feeling that his soul could be killed by the light of destruction. Yi Qinghan clenched his iron fist. He did not expect that Emperor Yi would stand out to protect him today. He was so angry that his eyes almost popped out of their sockets, and he wanted to crush the heavens. I see Wuxia have the golden bloodline. How can I beg for my life with you filthy people? If you want to fight, let's fight. There are no cowards in the crazy sect. See Wuxia's golden eyes shone with a soul-stirring light. He looked coldly at the soul of the dead spirit and sneered. A dead spirit without a Tao body dares to come out of the forbidden land. Do you really think that there is no one in the human race? Although I am young, the golden bloodline is real. After I self-destruct, the power of the bloodline is enough to kill a dead spirit. Let's see which one of you is lucky enough to be targeted by me. Boom! The gold origin Tao body was awakened. Golden light fluctuated and surged throughout his body. The divine martial emperor's codex crazily absorbed energy and spun in his sea of consciousness. He wanted to kill his way out and protect the human race. The divine martial emperor's codex was an imperial weapon. It was a secret technique that the divine martial emperor had personally refined. It was just that its power had not been revealed yet. Once it was activated, it could definitely protect the human race and slaughter them. Wisps of true imperial aura erupted from Yi Qinghan's body. The thousands of races and the dead spirits were so shocked that they could not speak for a long time. Even Di Shang's expression began to change. Nangong Shun and the others looked at each other and narrowed their eyes. They looked at Yi Qinghan and knew that there was indeed a treasure hidden in his body. It was very likely to be an imperial weapon. Otherwise, the imperial aura would not be so strong. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Even if the host dies today, I can guarantee that none of you will be able to escape from the imperial domain. The divine martial emperor's codex controlled Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness and borrowed Yi Qinghan's body to fly into the sky. It contained the imperial will and looked down on all living beings. Host, what was controlling Yi Qinghan? What was borrowing Yi Qinghan's body? Guichen looked into Yi Qinghan's eyes. His body trembled as if he was being stared at by the emperor. His legs turned to jelly and he kept retreating. Guichen, the master, predicted that the human race would face a calamity like you and wanted to reform you. He hoped that you would work for the human race. Unfortunately, you were still stubborn. If the master knew, he would regret not killing you back then. Yi Qinghan looked at Guichen indifferently and called out his real name. His voice was emotionless. You! Who are you? How do you know my real name? Guichen was terrified. This was the first time he felt like he was out of control. He did not dare to be presumptuous. Chapter 225. Guichen was terrified. He was so old that he couldn't even remember his own name, but the other party called out his name with such a strong emperor's aura. A name exploded in his mind, and that was the divine martial emperor. The dead spirit was also frightened. When a real emperor appeared, everyone had to step aside. Whoever dared to anger the emperor would be poked a hole in the sky. Cluck, cluck, cluck. Guichen teeth were chattering and his hands were trembling. He had no intention of resisting. 6,000 years ago, Master saw that you had fallen into the demonic path and thought that it was not easy for you to cultivate, so he gave you a drop of Emperor's blood to reform you. He hoped that you would be loyal to the human race and protect the common people. Unfortunately, you disappointed him. Yiching Han's voice was low and mighty, hoarse and old, as if it contained the vicissitudes of countless years. It suppressed the heroes in the heavens and made them not dare to speak. Divine Martial Emperor, you are the Emperor's weapon of the Divine Martial Emperor. Guichen screamed and cried. Once the Emperor's weapon was out, it meant that the Emperor had personally come. Guichen was indebted to the Emperor and did not dare to blaspheme him. At this moment, even Di Shang and the others knelt down. Welcome, Divine Martial Emperor. Thousands of spirits were crying, quasi-emperors were crying, and the human race was sad and pitiful. It was all because there was no emperor. Yiching Han's golden light burst out, and even his hair turned golden. Crazy 7 Feet was almost squeezed out of shape and roared. Greetings, great emperor. I am unfilial and have disappointed you. But I really want to become an emperor and fight for the human race like you. I want to shed my blood for the human race. Oh, great emperor, please kill me. I can't control my heart. In order to become an emperor, I have gone crazy. The vicious and evil Guichen was now weak like an old man who could not move. He was a hero past his prime. Blood and tears flowed across the mountains and rivers. He knelt in the void and kept kowtowing. It was clear that his respect for the divine martial emperor could not be stopped even by death. The great monarch bemoaned the state of the universe and pitied the fate of mankind. He didn't want to kill too many people. No matter how tyrannical he was, he didn't want to exterminate the Forbidden Lands and the 10,000 races. The existence of all living things was the reason. If the 10,000 races were destroyed, the Forbidden Lands would be destroyed, and the human race would also perish. This was an eternal principle. The dead spirit shivered, standing there in a daze. Besides the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors in the desolate era, the human race only had 10 emperors in the other eras. Their emperor weapons were even rarer. Most of them had disappeared in the long river of history. No one had thought that they would appear today. Great Emperor, please save the human race. We've let our ancestors down. We can't even defend the territory of the human race. Xia Qiantian wailed. He didn't seem like a quasi-emperor at all, nor did he seem like an emperor who had lived for thousands of years. 10,000 spirits wept. In these 5,000 years, it was unknown just how many creatures had died miserably. They couldn't find the path of reincarnation, and their souls were all taken away by the dead spirits of the Forbidden Lands. The human race had suffered far too much. It was indescribably painful. Sigh, a low sigh came from Yiching Han's sea of consciousness. It was full of vicissitudes and sorrow. It was not made by an emperor weapon, and it was different from the sound of an emperor weapon. This sound was unique and earth-shattering. Heaven and earth roared, and suddenly rain poured down from the sky, as if the sky was crying. Boom, boom, boom. Hua, hua, hua. In an instant, thunder rumbled, lightning tore through the darkness, and light shrouded the emperor domain, illuminating Yiching Han's face. Guichen seemed to have gone mad at this moment. He rushed directly to Yiching Han's feet and frantically slapped his old face. He couldn't control his tears at all. Great Emperor, I know you're still alive. I know you'll be immortal. Please forgive me, I really know I'm wrong. I won't be stubborn anymore. Woo woo. the sound of weeping and the lightning intertwined, illuminating everyone's face. The heroes of the human race were pleasantly surprised. Their tears intertwined with the rain and poured down continuously. The great demons of 10,000 races were so frightened by this sigh that they knelt on the ground. It's the divine martial emperor. This sigh is the great emperor's lament. Is he really still alive? No one would have thought that the divine martial emperor, who had reached Tao assimilation 5,000 years ago, would let out a lament. This was definitely the first time such a horrible thing had happened. Yi Qinghan slightly raised his hand and stroked Gui Chenzi's head, as if he was looking at his own son. His eyes were full of vicissitudes of life. His deep eyes could make people lose themselves in them and disappear into the vast Milky Way. Gui Qing sigh. I'm really disappointed. The hoarse voice seemed to contain the will of the heavenly Tao, which made people's hair stand on end. It was indeed the voice of the divine martial emperor. How much bitterness was contained in this word. Par Gui Chenzi didn't want to resist at all. He knew that Yi Qinghan's body could be crushed with a pinch, but he didn't dare to move. He only knew how to slap his own face, and his eyes were full of regret. I'm not a human. I'm really not a human. Great Emperor, you painstakingly gave me a drop of Emperor's blood to help me reach Tao assimilation and let me protect the human race. But I was obsessed and kept hurting the human race. Please give me the death penalty. Why do you have to do this? If you can't see through the heavenly Tao, so what if you kill each other? No one can achieve immortality. The divine martial emperor's mind was attached to the divine martial emperor's code. He sighed helplessly and said, when you reach this step, you will find that you are wrong. This is why the great emperor of the 10,000 races didn't kill the human race, and why the great emperor of the human race didn't destroy the forbidden area. You can all go. Find your Tao and achieve immortality. This time I've used up the last bit of my mind. If you still want to fight, do as you please. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The 10,000 Tao turn into yin and yang. Yin and yang are reincarnation. Even if you become a supreme, you will still return. The divine martial emperor controlled Yi Qinghan's body and clawed at the void. The 10,000 great beasts and the dead spirits couldn't control their own bodies, and they couldn't even control their own wills. They were directly sealed in the forbidden area. The Emperor's light shot up into the sky and sealed the forbidden area. There are still 1,000 years left. The divine martial emperor used up his last bit of mind power to suppress dozens of powerful dead souls. Even lightning couldn't escape and was suppressed in an instant. The power of a great emperor was enough to defy the natural order. The divine martial emperor's code dimmed and fell into a deep sleep in Yi Qinghan's mind. Yi Qinghan floated in the void, and the world was dead silent. Great Emperor! Di Shang and the others cried out in grief. Was this the last time the divine martial emperor performed a miracle? Unfortunately, the divine martial emperor didn't respond anymore. Yi Qinghan had fallen into a deep sleep. What do you mean by 1,000 years? Zhang Yunxiao's tears ran down his cheeks as he recalled the great emperor's last words. Do the human race have 1,000 years? Or can the seal only last for 1,000 years? At this moment, the boundary emperors couldn't understand what the great emperor's last words meant. The supreme existence of the Tianji sect threw out a copper coin, trying to figure out what the great emperor's last words meant. However, as soon as the coin was thrown out, it was pierced by a bolt of lightning. It doesn't matter what it means. In 1,000 years, the human race will do its best to create a great emperor, Di Shang said in a low voice. Everyone was silent. 1,000 years to create a great emperor. It was easy to say but difficult to do. Let's discuss it again and see if we can come up with a solution. 1,000 years is too short. By then, we will have reached the end of our lifespan. We will have no battle power left. How can we face the calamity? Everyone was sad. This was something they had to face. Life was short. Some people could live for dozens of years, and some powerful existences could live for 1,000 years. However, it didn't mean that they couldn't die. Di Shang could at most live for 2,000 or 3,000 years. The pressure of the sky made it hard for people to breathe. The rain was still roaring. Emperor Yi flapped his wings and took Yi Qinghan away. His figure flashed and disappeared without a trace. The boundary emperors watched Emperor Yi leave, but they couldn't stop him. Emperor Yi didn't trust the others. At this time, Yi Qinghan was unconscious. She would definitely choose to leave. You can all leave now. Zhang Yunxiao seemed to have aged 1,000 years. This feeling of helplessness made him feel older every time. It was too tiring. They carried the glory and future of the human race on their shoulders. A single mistake could lead to a huge mistake. Gu Qingyu looked at Muyo Tianqian and said sadly, "Qinghan gave me a mission a few days ago. I have to leave for a while. He hasn't come back yet. Please take care of the evil sect." "Don't worry. I am also a member of the evil sect." Muyo Tianqian nodded. After all, he came from the Shaolong region. These geniuses were all his family. He wouldn't allow others to bully them. Everyone retreated. Muyo Tianqian brought a group of juniors back to the main hall. Gu Qingyu soared into the sky and rushed into the depths of the wilderness. He was going to the eternal battlefield. Xia Qiue and Xia Ziluo kept staring at the direction where Emperor Yi and Yi Qinghan disappeared. Their mouths were murmuring and their eyes were still red. Countless people couldn't see the great emperor in their lifetime. In this life, their wish came true. However, they didn't expect that they would hear the voice of the great emperor through Yi Qinghan. In the endless universe, Emperor Yi aimlessly rushed into the depths of the universe with Yi Qinghan. He found a planet with life. It wasn't big and there weren't many experts. With a flap of his wings, he rushed into the depths of the planet. The stars in the night sky were magnificent. All spirits were in a deep slumber. Ren Huangyi gently flapped his wings and descended into a city. He carried the sleeping Yi Qinghan on his back and walked towards a brightly lit tavern. At this moment, Yi Qinghan's soul was almost completely consumed by the divine martial imperial codex. If the great emperor said anything, Yi Qinghan might die completely. Perhaps it was because the great emperor couldn't bear to exhaust the last bit of Yi Qinghan's soul and chose to dissipate. Yi Qinghan's fingertips moved slightly. He was so tired that he didn't want to move. To support the control of the great emperor, it required more than just spiritual power and a strong physical body. "My son, where are we?" Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse and soft. It was so soft that even Emperor Yi couldn't hear it clearly. "Master, I don't know either." "It seems like we haven't left the Imperial region. However, we have left that enormous planet." Emperor Yi quickly replied and asked gently, "Master, how do you feel?" "Very tired. Very sleepy." Yi Qinghan's vision turned pitch black. He couldn't even think as he fainted again. Emperor Yi carried Yi Qinghan into the inn. The inn on the small planet was still brightly lit. They didn't know that the human race was living on the brink of extinction, but they were still drinking and having fun. Seeing Emperor Yi carry Yi Qinghan in with his eyes closed, they couldn't help but be surprised. "Prepare a separate courtyard for me. Prepare hot water. Without my permission, anyone who dares to come near will die." Emperor Ye's divine senses swept across the inn and found a separate private room at the back. It was decorated very luxuriously. He directly walked over and didn't allow anyone to refute him. P.S. Ladies and gentlemen, please continue to support book coins to read. Seeing that many people left halfway through the book, I don't feel good. A few dollars might not mean much to you, but it is very important to Dowdu. Thank you. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.